It all started with an invasion of demons. Out of nowhere, a portal opened and they poured onto the ground. Humanity inevitably faced extermination. People began to run away in panic, trying to save their lives. The guy ran as fast as he could in an attempt to save his life from the entities that were pursuing him. One of the demons, looking like a huge hellish dog, rushed right after the guy. The guy froze in horror before the monster, not knowing what to do next. The demon clearly intended to attack him. The guy began to call for help, hoping that at least someone could save him. The demon did not pay any attention to the guy's pleas. It opened its terrible mouth, revealing a row of long, sharp fangs. Only a few people could fight back these demons. Suddenly, a stranger appeared and hit the monster in the head with all his might, distracting him from the guy. The guy was scared and surprised. He assumed that the stranger who appeared was alone and awakened. This stranger was Lee Jun, a D-rank awakened. He ordered the guy to get out of here quickly. He needed to leave before this demon came to his senses. However, Lee Jun did not see that the monster had already risen to its feet. Noticing the risen demon, Jun was surprised. He wasn't ready for this. When the demon rushed at him, the guy barely had time to cover himself with his hand, into which the monster's fangs immediately sank. Jun's powers were useless even against a monster of such a low rank. He wondered if even with his D rank he couldn't defeat him. Still holding the monster with one hand, Jun pulled his blade out of its sheath with the other. The guy swung his blade, putting all his strength into the blow. His eyes glowed red and his weapon glowed. Jun breathed out a sigh of relief, looking at the defeated monster. Taking advantage of the moment, the guy hurried to get away as quickly as possible, saving his own life. Jun barely coped with this task. It was only one monster, but the guy was already exhausted. Lee Jun noticed a wound on his arm that looked too deep. This battle turned out to be too difficult for him and took a lot of energy. D rank is one of the lowest among awakened ones. Jun could do nothing but watch as people begged for help. The guy considered himself pathetic. He kept asking himself, is this really all he is capable of? Suddenly, the guy felt a sharp gust of wind. He couldn't understand what was happening. In front of Jun, the sword in his hand glowed just like his blade earlier. The demon struck, releasing a powerful energy wave, but the guy managed to dodge. He focused all his attention on the demon, preparing to strike the next blow. It only took him a moment to land a strong blow. The guy saw only the light trail left by the blade. Jun was stunned that the guy killed a monster that he wouldn't even dare touch. Moreover, he only needed one blow to do this. It was Sword Dragon, Jun's close friend. He inherited his clan's martial arts. The guy was jealous of him. If Jun were from such a clan, he would not have fallen after fighting only one monster. Then he too would be able to fight like this. The awakened began to gradually appear long before Pandemonium. They possessed power that humanity had never even dreamed of. Their descendants inherited this power and the ability to control it. However, Jun awakened at rank F without any inheritance. And no matter how hard Jun tried, no matter how exhausted he was, nothing helped. D rank remained his highest achievement. Jun kept thinking about what would have happened if he had been born into a clan of awakened ones. If only he could grow beyond D rank. He kept imagining his powerful blade, which he would use. Maybe then Jun's life would be completely different, surrounded by friends and honor. The guy forced himself to wake up from these fantasies and come to his senses. He didn't understand what he was thinking about. After all, now his end has come. Jun saw a glow in front of his face. The notification said that the Path of the Warrior attribute should be opened. The guy didn't understand what it was. The guy smiled sadly. He didn't believe it. The guy had zero luck. And what was the use of this attribute to him if he was going to die now? Jun simply hated this awakening system. A glowing circle with different symbols appeared before his eyes. The guy suddenly opened his eyes, not understanding what was happening. He immediately sat up on the bed with a jerk. A bead of sweat ran down his face as Jun tried to comprehend what had just happened. The guy looked around. A refrigerator with stickers, a laptop on the table, flower pots on the windowsill. Jun was surprised to realize that he was in his dorm room. He didn't understand how he ended up here. After all, the guy lived here in high school. Jun was at a loss because he was mortally wounded after saving a civilian. He died after that. Jun began checking the information in the system. What he saw on the monitor screen left him speechless. The guy was incredibly surprised to notice the date January 2025 because when he fought with that demon, it was 2032. The guys passing by were stunned by the surprised cry that came from Jun's room. The guy considered all this simply unthinkable. Jun grabbed his head, trying to comprehend what was happening. Did he just dream about the future? But this is simply impossible. Jun got out of bed. He wants to look out the window to see with his own eyes what is happening around him. A courtyard with a football field and a school building appeared before his eyes. Jun saw the training of the awakened, which took place every day, the same thing, ad nauseum. Everything was exactly as he remembered. Jun still couldn't believe that he had gone back 7 years into the past. It seemed simply impossible to him. Jun sank back onto the bed, thinking about everything that was happening. The information simply did not want to fit into his head. After all, he died from a wound in his side. Jun did not understand how he could go back to the past. The guy just felt this pain, but it stopped. And now, when Jun looked at his side, there was no trace left of the wound. The guy's death was the beginning of his return to the past. Jun still couldn't believe that something that only happens in manhwa happened to him. The guy had no idea what to do with all this now. Jun knew that a great war was coming in 7 years, and the guy understood that he couldn't change anything. Having calmed down, Jun decided that first he needed to check his stats. The guy was delighted to realize that he had the same statistics that he saw right before his death. Jun wondered what this emerging attribute, the Path of the Warrior, would give him. The guy clicked on it and was incredibly surprised. He was given the choice of 9 Suns Divine Art, Classic Transformation Stretch, Dharmas, and Divine Celestial Martial Arts. These were all great martial arts. Jun had to choose one thing. In his past life, he achieved nothing except a shameful death. But in this life, he will not step on the same rake. After thinking a little, the guy made his choice. At this time, Korea and the entire Far East are like a fantasy world of martial arts. All this happened because of the awakened ones of the first generation, namely because of the choice that was presented to them. The choice was as follows: either live in the magical setting of the country of Grados, or in the martial arts setting, the world called Murim. Europe and America chose Grantos, and Asia chose Murim. This was the world at the time Lee Jun returned to. All around were martial artists, but what should those who don't fit in do? Jun was very surprised when he read the data on the screen. He was especially stunned by the possibility of choosing the art of divine origin. As far as Jun knew, this practice was neither traditional nor non-traditional, nor even occult. The guy decided to choose her. Jun's eyes immediately widened in surprise when she confirmed her choice. The guy grabbed the screen, rereading the notification that appeared. His amazement knew no bounds when he realized that he had chosen a skill of the SSS class. Jun sat on the soft grass, relaxed and closed his eyes. There was no one around, and the guy could enjoy his solitude. As a youth, he often came to this secluded place on a hill not far from his school. Jun wanted to concentrate away from the mocking glances that constantly followed him. The guy immediately shook his head, ordering himself to stop delving into the past. He was firmly convinced that now everything would definitely be different. Jun calmed down again, concentrated, and the guy was enveloped in a haze of blue light. Sharply opening his eyes, Jun realized that now he had completely different sensations. It seemed to him that his blood was boiling in his veins. The guy was pleasantly surprised. This is what SS practice feels like, class. Jun was distracted by a notice that appeared, which stated that the art of divine origin allows you to comprehensively master the concentration of key energy dispersed in the universe and is perfectly combined with other Wugong arts. This was very different from the 3 Foundations meditation technique. Jun meditated just a little, and his strength is already growing at an incredible speed. The guy clenched his hand into a fist, feeling the power flowing through his body. Meditation alone will lift Jun to unprecedented levels of power. The guy was delighted with this. Jun was faced with the first task, introductory training for the Path of the Divine Source, under the terms of which he must reach the second level of the Divine Source skill. Jun found the task a bit difficult, but he decided that with the data he has now, he can handle it. The guy began to meditate again, wanting to increase his strength. He saw the glow around him getting bigger and brighter. Jun tensed so hard that beads of sweat appeared on his face. He heard someone call him a stupid boy, saying that he was crawling like a newborn. The voice loudly ordered the guy to stop fooling around and open his eyes. Jun obeyed. His eyes continued to glow, that same blue glow emanating from them. Unable to withstand the tension, Jun coughed, falling to his knees and pressing his hand into the damp ground, trying to hold on. Still holding his throat, the guy couldn't believe he was alive. Jun had no idea what just happened. The guy still couldn't stop the meditation of the divine source. He was sure that if he had not stopped, he would definitely have died. The voice told him that he had walked along the edge and returned. The guy jerked in surprise, looking around warily. Having finally risen to his feet, Jun asked the mysterious voice who he was. He just laughed cheerfully in response, giving the guy a chance to guess for himself. Jun immediately turned towards the voice. An old man appeared in front of the guy, shrouded in a luminous haze, who looked at Jun with a slight half-smile. The guy immediately assumed that the stranger was a ghost. The old man was dumbfounded by such a guess. He considered the guy ignorant and angrily declared that he did not look like a ghost at all. Jun decided to once again timidly ask the stranger who he really was. The old man said that he would say this only once and ordered the guy to listen to him carefully. The venerable old man he saw before him was the strongest man in history. He is a martial arts master. Jun was surprised by his words. The guy thought it was something familiar, but he still couldn't remember where he had heard about this master. Suddenly, a realization came to him. He remembered a martial art founded by a master who experienced enlightenment in his declining years. Jun could not believe that this old man was the same martial artist who created the art of divine origin. The old man noted with satisfaction that it turns out the guy is not a completely brainless child. The master asked if it was really so difficult to recognize him even in the form of a spirit. Jun couldn't believe that there really was a person who created this martial art. He didn't understand how the master could even talk to him now, because he certainly couldn't be alive. It turned out that due to Jun's impenetrable stupidity, his divine origin skill was sealed, and the master could not come out. The martial art of divine origin is the most powerful in the history of mankind. It would be a huge loss if it disappeared into oblivion, so the master took some measures. Jun hesitantly noted that he roughly understood what he was talking about. The old man, hitting him with a folded fan, again called the guy an ignorant, saying that he could not even approximately understand such a great art. The master said that thousands of boys dreamed of hearing even a word from someone like him. Jun decided that his ears were about to fall off. The guy assured that he understood everything and said that he would like to meditate further. He couldn't wait to get out of here. The old man suggested that he try to meditate himself for 100 days and see if he was lucky enough not to contract the chi corruption. Jun immediately froze, turned around and stared at the master in surprise. The old man didn't understand why he was so surprised. He just said everything as it is. This scared the guy even more. Jun felt beads of sweat running down his face from excitement. The master warned that if he trained on his own, he would not even get close to 2 stars in his entire life. Jun looked at the man with wide eyes, surprised by his words. The old master seemed completely calm and unperturbed. Jun didn't understand why the old man was doing this to him, because he certainly wouldn't cheer him up with such words. The guy wondered what he should do in this case because he wants to become stronger. The master admitted that he does not have any training program for Jun. Then he decided that he would come up with something himself because he simply had to achieve his goal. The master thought for a second, carefully examining the guy. He then loudly slammed his fan as he folded it and said that he liked Li Jun's determination. The master decided that it was his time to become generous, at least after death. The guy was sitting in a small cafe, enthusiastically looking at something on his phone. The drink he ordered stood on the table without attention. Putting down the phone, the guy closed his eyes and sighed heavily. The master did not understand why he was sighing because he was so lucky. The guy jerked in surprise, frightened by the old man's appearance, and asked him not to do that again. Jun stared at the phone screen again, where there was a notification about a debit in the amount of 4,000 won. The guy didn't understand. Was this really necessary? The master stated that this is the only way to make Jun stronger, and yet the guy will have to wear 50-pound shackles on his legs. Even the blacksmith looked at him with confusion, clearly asking himself why he needed these shackles. The guy collapsed on the table, exhausted. He was shocked by these medieval methods. Rising sharply from the table, Jun angrily declared that the master himself should try to wear them. A waitress passing by, who did not see the master at all, was a little surprised by Jun's behavior. The guy immediately fell silent, sank back into his chair in shame. The old man said that he simply doesn't have everything at home. Jun decided that he didn't want to talk to anyone right now and started checking his characteristics again. Leveling up turned out to be much more difficult than he thought. After the guy learned the divine source skill, the ceiling of ki energy increased to 620. Jun concluded that divine origin was definitely a very powerful martial art. The master decided to once again emphasize to his only student that the divine source is the pinnacle of his martial art and the development of ki potential. Jun admitted that it was thanks to his teacher's help in meditation that he was able to reach the 2-star level. The guy decided that he had chosen the easy path for himself. Looking at the phone screen again, the guy intended to leave. The master did not understand where he was going. Then Jun explained that the shackles were already ready. Jun barely had time to step outside the cafe threshold when he heard familiar voices. They were surprised by the guy's appearance. The guy looked uncertainly in the direction where the voices were coming from. This meeting did not bode well for him. Turning around, Jun noticed a trio of guys who were well known to him. The guys giggled cheerfully under their breath, noticing the loser they knew. One of them asked Jun what had gotten into him today, because usually he always locked himself in his dorm room and didn't go out anywhere. These guys were Jun's classmates and were all E-rank fighters. Of course, it was not the highest rank, but compared to his F rank, it was a lot, unlike their strength from their parents. Exhaling heavily, the guy asked them to leave him alone and just go about their business. To one of the guys, Jun's behavior seemed simply outrageous. Pushing his hand in the chest, he declared that just because they hadn't joked about him for a while, that didn't mean he could get impudent. Suddenly, the guy remembered that Kihan told them not to touch Jun before classes started. His friends just smiled cheerfully at this. The guy said that they were going to classes in the field of divine power and invited Jun to go with them. They suggested that he wouldn't be spanked too much if Jun was with them. Gritting his teeth in anger, the guy only muttered for them to shut up. Classmates decided that Jun was arrogant, as if just remembering that he was of low birth, they assumed that the master would probably want to train on him. The guy continued to chatter something, not noticing the blow in his direction. Jun charged the guy with all his force, causing him to be thrown back several meters. Jun continued to maintain a cold, calm expression on his face, completely concentrating on his strike. The fallen guy was thrown several meters away. Friends standing nearby were stunned by what happened. Clenching his hand into a fist and threatening them again, Jun reminded them that he told them to shut up. Recovering from this scene, the other 2 guys immediately rushed at Jun. Concentrating, Jun realized that their movements had become predictable for him. Thanks to this guy, it was not difficult to dodge a sharp attack from one of the attackers. Jun deftly grabbed the guy's hand, preventing him from striking again. Instead, Jun attacked himself and greatly outnumbered his opponents. He immediately coughed and fell to his knees. He did not expect that his opponent would be so strong. Turning around, Jun noticed the second guy, who was already rushing towards him as fast as he could. He raised his fist, trying to attack Jun, but the guy stopped him in time. The attacker was incredibly surprised. It seemed to him that this was simply impossible. Jun squeezed the guy's hand harder, causing him to lose his footing and fall to the ground. One of the guys continued to lie there, unable to get up after the powerful blow. The other was still holding onto his bruised side, also unable to rise to his feet. The third continued to kneel, the fingers on his hand arched unnaturally. Jun continued to stand, watching this picture. He told the guys that even without them, he knew perfectly well that he was a loser who didn't even have the blood of the awakened in his veins. The flower pot fell to the floor with a crash, breaking into pieces. The woman continued to scream, declaring that it was not her son. She was still indignant that because of him, her whole life had gone downhill. The boy, meanwhile, was still trying to hold back the tears that streamed down his face. The woman said that she would kill him, so the boy hurried to run away. He was scared, didn't know what to do. Tears continued to blur my eyes. The man gave the boy an indifferent look. He seemed completely unconcerned with everything that was happening. The boy told his father that his mother wanted to kill him and begged him for help. The man thought for just a moment but did nothing, turning away and walking away. The boy kept asking his dad not to leave. He begged him to listen to him, but his father never did this, leaving him alone. Nobody needed Jun. In his previous life, he did everything to be accepted by his family, but he decided that this time everything would be different. He wasn't going to waste his miraculously found life chasing something so useless. He decided that he would increase his own strength and look down on others. In this life, he will no longer allow anyone to humiliate him. The divine origin art was created using the forces of chaos. This is a divine art that manifests itself most clearly only when the body is tested to the limit of its strength. The teacher was intensely focused on something, occasionally waving his favorite fan. Jun was barely able to stand on his feet, straining his muscles to the very limit. Holding a huge boulder on which the teacher was sitting, the guy did not understand whether it really needed to be done this way. The master was surprised that Jun still had the strength to chat, considering that he still had a lot to go through. He advised the guy to shut up and move on. Jun was incredibly happy when they finally reached the top, because everything was already falling off for him from such physical exertion. The teacher immediately became angry, since he did not allow the guy to sit down and ordered him to rest only while standing. Jun didn't even have the strength to argue, so he simply began to silently check his data. As a reward for completing the task, the guy received a source ring. Jun noted that it was very beautiful and skillfully made. This was because his teacher was wise and skillful. It was a unique artifact from his martial arts school. The guy hesitantly put the ring on, observing the information that appeared. Seeing that it was an S-grade artifact, Jun couldn't believe his eyes and immediately asked the teacher if it was true. The master decided that the guy was asking stupid questions, since this was the treasure of the origin sect. Jun has not yet understood whether this is good or bad, and what he did to deserve to wear such a treasure. The guy noticed that 2 more new paths had opened up for him, and immediately asked if the second path had anything to do with the teacher. Looking around, Jun noticed that the teacher was nowhere to be found. The guy didn't understand why he suddenly disappeared. It was very bad timing. Looking at the 2 paths presented, the guy realized that he needed to think about this choice. While walking on the street, the guy reread the description of the path he had chosen, the endless path of earthly sorrows, which gave the speed of mastering martial arts plus 20%. The teacher who suddenly appeared asked why Jun chose this particular path, because the others were clearly better. Smiling, the guy replied that this one seemed good to him. However, Jun admitted that the path of the sect that consumes heaven and earth also appealed to him. The teacher did not believe that the guy had the nerve to say this. Be that as it may, Jun could not choose a path other than the one followed by the teacher. The master warned him not to regret his choice later. The teacher thought for a moment, looking closely at the guy. He remembered how those 3 guys mentioned the divine power sect when inviting Jun there. The teacher had no idea what kind of divine power sect those boys were talking about was. Jun reported that this sect teaches the martial arts of the Huangfu family. The teacher found this information very interesting. The master asked if the guy had yet mastered the martial arts of the Huangfu school. Jun sadly admitted that no, because he did not inherit the ability by blood. According to awakened heredity, awakened children have a 95% chance of inheriting abilities from their parents. Such children are born awakened and with an innate skill of meditation. The remaining 5% are born with the inclinations of strength that surpass their parents. Such, for example, is the Sword Dragon from the Iron Blood Sword sect, a family in which the martial art of the Namgong sect is passed down from generation to generation. The public sees this family as a host of extraordinarily gifted geniuses. This seemed disgraceful to the teacher, because in his time martial arts were not inherited. The master suggested that the father abandoned Jun because the guy did not inherit his abilities. Smiling sadly, the guy replied that it was so. The old man called it complete nonsense, which surprised Jun. The teacher did not understand how you could give up your little blood over a trifle. The master declared that he had no right to be called a father. The master placed his hand on the guy's shoulder in an encouraging gesture. The teacher promised that he would pass on to Jun the knowledge of all the martial arts that he knew. His father ordered Jun to remember that he will never have friends, and he himself is not capable of being anyone's friend. The man gave the guy a look full of rage, adding that he was good for nothing. Smiling, Jun admitted that he hopes for the teacher. The guy suddenly realized that they were only talking about him and said that he was interested in learning something about the master. The old man admitted that he had committed many sins and therefore he went into hermitage. Jun was frightened by this news. He hoped that the teacher was not the head of an occult sect. The angry master immediately beat the guy with a fan, ordering him never to call him a villain again. The teacher noted that the awakened ones of this time are much weaker than most of the warriors of his time. This was all because they improve by increasing their skills. The master decided that they did not understand the essence of martial arts at all. Jun began to train hard, honing his blows. The guy focused as much as possible on achieving the best result. The teacher said that if he achieved enlightenment through martial arts, he would make the guy the second strongest person in the world. Jun, concentrating all his energy, hit the target with all his might. Cracks appeared on the target and then it broke in two. Jun froze in amazement, not understanding why he would only be made the second strongest person. Smiling contentedly, the old man replied that he was the first. Taking a serious look again, the master ordered to move on to the next step. The teacher said that a difficult test on the verge of life and death is the best condition for gaining enlightenment. Jun had no idea where he could find such a situation. The guy froze in surprise as realization came to him. With a sly smile, the master asked if they had a place here where the strongest of the masters gather. Following John as he walked, the old man asked where he was going. The guy said that he was going to a place called the Green Zone. The entrance there is located in the basement. Awakened people of lower rank are not allowed in there because it is very dangerous there. Marima School is keeping an eye on this. According to rumors, the director himself closed this entrance. While Jun was telling this, they had just arrived at the right place. A brightly burning seal appeared in front of them, which did not allow them to go further. Jun sighed sadly. He knew that the entrance was sealed. The master said that they would pass easily, since this was the fifth information. The guy was extremely shocked by this statement. The teacher said that it was quite easy to hack and ordered Jun to act as he taught. Concentrating, the guy was able to break the seal without difficulty. Jun was incredibly surprised that the door opened so easily. Suddenly, the guy heard a strange sound that attracted his attention. Looking in that direction, he could hardly believe his eyes. A glowing portal appeared before them. Without taking his surprised gaze off the portal, Jun reached for his iron shackles on his hands. The master displeasedly asked his student what he was doing. Jun hesitantly said that he would like to leave the shackles here. The old man grumbled gloomily that he should not even think about it. The guy had to involuntarily agree to this, despite the fact that it would be difficult for him anyway. The portal led to an endless desert, where for many miles ahead there were only mountains of sand. The teacher assured that the guy may not be afraid now, because for now, they are alone here. Turning to Jun, the master declared that his time had come. He said that he would pass on his skills to the guy. Jun froze in amazement, not understanding what was happening. The system notified that the guy had learned the Royal Step skill, C, and now he can use it. Jun was incredibly happy to finally receive a first-class award. Gloomily staring into the distance, the master said that the guy studied him just in time. The teacher had just ordered the boy to get ready when he turned to see the approaching danger himself. The master said that the Royal Step footwork technique is the work of the masters of the Huang clan Bo. Its basis is pure physical strength. The teacher assured that this technique was not complicated and would be just right for the guy. He wanted to see what Jun had learned during his training. One of the fiery foxes moved towards the guy and he barely had time to jump to the side. As soon as he deviated from one, another moved into battle. The third was also already on the way. Jun barely had time to dodge. They attacked one after another and did not even allow the guy to react. The teacher advised Jun to use his royal stride, take 2 steps to the right and bend back as far as he could. Concentrating, the guy took 2 steps to the right with a regal step, and then he bent over as far as possible. Using all his strength, Jun struck back at the enemy. The guy smiled contentedly, realizing that he had killed the Green Zone monster with his own hands. The teacher just smiled wryly, calling Jun a braggart. The guy froze when he saw a huge shadow falling on him. Turning and seeing the creature approaching him, Jun realized that this was not the end. Jun clutched at the wound, watching the monsters that were preparing for a new attack. The guy realized with fright that he had rushed to the conclusion about victory. Jun was in such a hurry to dodge but was wounded. A little more and he would have met an inglorious end again. Jun barely had time to jump away when the fox struck again. While dodging, the guy didn't even understand when the second fox managed to get behind him. When the guy dodges one, the second one already goes around him and attacks him from behind. The teacher warned Jun where to dodge, but avoiding attacks alone would not end the fight. The guy was still trying to figure out how to defeat these creatures. Jun forced himself to relax. Before his death, he had achieved Class D and was training intensively. He really thought he was already strong enough. The guy was sure that he was already finished, but the master ordered him to pull himself together and not even think about it. Putting an encouraging hand on the guy's shoulder, the teacher assured him that everything would definitely work out for him. He advised him not to despair and to continue to practice the kingly walk. He had to learn to wait for the right moment. The guy forced himself to pull himself together. Tearing off part of his sleeve, Jun wrapped the wound on his neck. He agreed that he needed to leave these stupid thoughts behind. Concentrating, the guy delivered a precise blow to the fox, then came a sharp kick. Jun forced himself to remain calm. He used the art of divine origin and royal gate. Jun wondered how many hours they had been here. It felt like 6 o'clock had passed. The guy was pretty exhausted, but so were his enemies. Foxes attacked much less often and defended themselves more often. If Jun had the strength, he would use footwork so that the divine origin skill could recover in the meantime. The guy could barely stand on his feet. He was moved only by willpower, but he was not going to die here. The master noted that now is the time to chop the exhausted enemies into cabbage. Jun hoped that he would have at least a moment to catch his breath. The master asked who, in his opinion, would be the first to regain strength, Jun or his opponent. The teacher told the guy to believe in the restorative power of the divine source, because now was an excellent opportunity to increase both endurance and strength at the same time. Gathering all his strength into a fist, Jun decided that he would listen to the teacher. The guy concentrated as much as possible, preparing to deliver the decisive blow. The teacher said that when Jun wins, he will receive from him a skill that he will really need. The guy fearlessly looked at the fox that was rushing straight at him, preparing to strike. Having collected himself, Jun delivered a precise blow to the monster. Smiling contentedly, the guy asked the teacher to promise that he would keep his word. Jun barely had time to dodge when he noticed another fox that again stabbed him in the back. The beast seemed furious to the limit. Tongues of flame were coming out of its mouth. With its mouth open, the fox directed a stream of fire straight towards the guy. Jun almost flew into the air, dodging the attack. The guy was burning with no less rage than his opponent when he struck back. Hitting the fox with all his might, Jun saw a notification that he had reached the level of 3 stars in the Divine Origin skills. The Divine Source skill replenished Jun's entire energy reserve. Zappa's stamina was reduced by 10% and is now fully restored. As a reward for the guy's incredible growth, he receives 250,000 martial arts tree points. His skill, Divine Source, now has a passive effect, fear. The monsters began to be afraid of the guy. The master was pleased with Jun's talent. The teacher could not even think that the guy would reach the level of 3 stars in just 2 months and admitted that he looked like his first student. Jun was surprised to hear this. He didn't even know that the teacher had another student. The master confirmed that before the guy he had an older student. For Jun, he is an older brother. The guy still looked at the teacher in surprise, amazed by this news. His expression changed as realization dawned on Jun. The guy was so surprised that the teacher had students before him that he couldn't hold back his cry. He asked how many of them there were before him. The old man almost went deaf because of his scream. Grimacing with displeasure, he admitted that there were 4 students. Jun didn't understand why the master didn't tell him about this right away. Instead of answering, the old man pointed to the fiery foxes, who were already planning to run away, and ordered the guy to quickly catch up with them. Jun reported that while they were talking, the foxes had long disappeared. The old man was unhappy that the guy was not listening to his teacher and ordered him to immediately run after them. Jun asked if the master had forgotten his promise. The old man was offended that the guy thought he had such a short memory. He reported on the punching fist technique, which was one of the main techniques, and asked if Jun wanted to learn it. The guy asked if this technique, like the royal step, is also from his divine origin skill, or is it a technique from the Huang Fu clan school. The master confirmed the second statement, and Jun said that he wanted to study this technique. The notice said that the guy had learned the punch technique. If a rootless person without inheriting the martial art by blood becomes a master of the art of some clan, moreover, he will become many times stronger than others. It will be interesting to see what they say to this. The guy moved at a leisurely pace along the sands through what seemed like an endless desert. Jun grumbled dissatisfiedly, not understanding where these mongrels had gone. The old man recalled how he told the guy that he needed to finish with them earlier and pointed out what happens when you don't listen to the teacher.
Jun furiously noted that he had already apologized for them.
The master unexpectedly said that it seemed so. They're almost here. Surprised by what he saw, Jun turned to the teacher without taking his eyes off the strange picture. The guy asked if they were looking for mid-level four-tailed monsters. The master nodded affirmatively. Crouching, Jun pointed his finger at something to the side. There, on the other bank, there were 3 foxes. They were familiar to them before, and with them there was another one, much larger and blue in color. The little foxes were resting peacefully, nestled next to the big blue fox. The master noted that it seemed like a stronger monster was with them. Jun easily recognized her as the same blue fox. The blue fox is the boss of this level, which is called the blue fox's nest. Its speed is comparable to the monsters of the red zone, and is so strong that even several awakened Class C had a hard time dealing with it. This creature is of an absolutely unattainable level compared to those with which the guy had to fight. The slightest mistake will cost Jun his life. The teacher tried to calm the guy down and ordered him not to be afraid. He noted that there is nothing more valuable for growth than a life-or-death situation. Jun didn't believe he was serious. The guy's face showed an emotion of indecision, and he tried to object, but the master did not allow him to do so. The old man said that in his time, young people never dared to object to their teacher, and the children of this century do nothing but ask stupid questions and doubt. Jun wasn't sure he was capable of defeating the blue fox, or that it would have much effect on his growth. If he gapes even for a second, he's finished. But if the guy gives up now and runs away, then how will he be different from his former self, a pathetic weakling? The guy remembered how he was sitting on the floor, unable to get up from the blow. A scarlet mark from a recent slap burned on his cheek. Unable to resist, he fell to the floor, receiving another blow. Someone's foot pinned him to the floor, pressing directly on his face, preventing him from rising. The enemy reported that now that he had knocked out all of Jun's ki reservoir, he would no longer be able to fight. The guy kept asking Lee Gihan why he was doing this, because he knew what would happen if the teacher found out about it. Jun was stunned when he heard that the teacher allowed Gihan to do this. The guy even had to ask again. This news was so surprising to him. Gihan repeated contentedly that the teacher gave him permission. Moreover, he said that it was worth behaving this way with such impudence. After all, those who don't take risks don't celebrate. The guy then promised himself to become stronger. He wants to become stronger and take revenge on his family. He has already died once. What else should he be afraid of? After all, those who don't take risks don't drink champagne. The foxes continued to calmly bask in the rays of the sun for some time, not noticing the guy who was nearby. The system notified that Jun's passive fear effect of the divine source skill had triggered. The guy continued to intently watch his opponents, waiting for their next move. The little foxes began to be afraid of Jun, but the blue fox confidently took a step forward. The passive effect of the blue fox voice of the leader worked. The speed of the fire foxes doubled. Jun didn't expect that the fear effect would always work, but it seemed to be suppressed by the presence of the blue fox. The blue fox stood up and the guy was able to see how huge she was compared to his previous opponents. Without hesitating for a second, the blue fox rushed to attack. Having gathered himself, Jun informed the teacher that he was going into battle. Having not received an answer from the master, the guy began to worry a little. Looking around, Jun realized that the teacher was nowhere to be found. Kihon said that he wants to compete with Jun. He came to the conclusion that they could not leave the shame that the guy was bringing to their family. The father asked who exactly ordered him to do this. Kihon hesitantly replied that he had decided so himself. The man assured that he would not scold the guy and ordered him to tell the truth. His gaze was sharp and piercing like a sword. Is this really the power of an awakened AA class? The guy admitted that his aunt gave him the order. The man asked in surprise if he was talking about Shin's mother. He realized that the woman wanted Jun gone. In their world, only the strongest survive, and their clan does not need weaklings. The man crushed a nearby beetle with a sharp blow of his shoe, adding that such people need to get rid of. It was hardly possible to walk there. Everything around was on fire. But the monster had nothing to do with it. That's a shame. Jun told himself not to panic and think through his actions. His knowledge of martial arts left much to be desired, but he has knowledge of monsters. Jun collected them all the years of his past life. However, theoretical knowledge is one thing, but practice is completely different. If a guy kills a big fox, then the little ones will run away. Jun realized that he needed to kill her with one blow. The guy got ready, concentrated, and struck. He froze in surprise, not getting quite the result he had expected. The guy didn't understand what to do with the fox. Did she really dodge? Jun felt the attack from behind, freezing for a second in surprise. The guy immediately quickly turned to the enemy, intending to defend himself. He used the royal step technique. Jun decided to listen to the advice his teacher gave him. The guy made a high jump, intently watching the fox's movements. But this did not frighten Jun at all. He had no intention of dying and staying here, so he put all his strength into the blow. The guy sighed heavily, recovering from the attack. He suddenly realized that next time he would not survive. For defeating the boss, he received 500,000 martial arts tree points and $250,000 in honor of the good hunt, as well as a reward, a Class B magic stone, a Class A vampire spell. Jun sank to the ground, recovering from the fight and trying to catch his breath a little. A notebook unfamiliar to the guy appeared next to him. The teacher who suddenly appeared noted that these were good rewards. It was a book of spells. A Class A vampire spell allows you to drain health from an enemy. Reading a book is the best way to quickly learn a spell. Jun turned his exhausted gaze to the teacher. The guy immediately displeasedly asked the master where he had been. He called him with all his might. He thought that the teacher left him because he thought he was useless. The old man assured that he would never abandon his student, and he did not leave because he considers the guy useless. Not at all. Jun looked at the hand he used to kill the monster with just one blow. The guy still felt the power radiating from that hand and spreading throughout his body. The master suggested learning the vampire spell first, warning that if Jun listened to him, then his skills would grow very quickly. The guy somehow didn't really believe the master, but he assured that he was not a liar. Jun believed the teacher and began to study the spell. After the guy finished, the master said that there was only one thing left to do. He ordered Jun to suck the life out of all the monsters on this level. The guy slowly got ready, pulling on his familiar robe. While getting ready, Jun looked at his statistics at the same time. Noticing that he had almost reached Class C and had 3 skills, the guy could not hold back his tears of happiness. The teacher did not understand what was wrong with the guy, but he assured that everything was fine with him. Jun slowly followed his route, watching as the other students rushed, afraid of being late. The teacher asked the guy if he was really late. Jun didn't see this as a big problem because he wouldn't make it in time anyway. The master was dissatisfied with his behavior. He believed that the guy should be greedy for knowledge. Smiling contentedly, Jun admitted that he needed only one teacher, and that was the master himself. The old man was stunned by this news and froze for a second, not knowing what to answer. Then the master agreed that, indeed, one good teacher in life is enough. Jun was glad that his teacher was easy to deal with. Jun stopped when he heard his name called. Seeing who addressed him, the guy was incredibly shocked. Lee Ki-han stood in front of him, and behind him stood a group of his friends. Ki-han noticed with a wry smile that Jun looked good. He warned Ki-han that he had better not run into trouble and go his own way. The guy was unhappy that they had not seen each other for only a couple of months, and Jun had already forgotten how to behave. Ki-han didn't understand where the guy got so much impudence from, because tomorrow was the competition. The teacher had no idea what kind of competition we were talking about, so Jun explained that these were competitions that the school organized for students. At these competitions, students are assigned a rank, and their lower ranks are revealed. Ki-han displeasedly asked what the guy was muttering under his breath and whether he knew any rules of decency. Jun was surprised that he was being told about the rules of decency by someone who first hits and then only starts talking. Ki-han was furious at this statement. He noticed how the students standing nearby who were watching their altercation began to quietly giggle. Ki-han was annoyed that someone like Jun would allow himself to behave like this. He immediately rushed to attack the guy, promising that he would deal with him. However, Jun managed to easily dodge the enemy's blows, which greatly surprised Ki-han, who did not expect this. The guy was even more surprised when he noticed that Jun was laughing at him. Jun noticed that the teacher had created a quest for him, in which it was necessary to give Lee Ki-han a beating. Initially, the guy intended to deal with Lee Ki-han in the competition, but now he changed his mind. Jun calmly tripped his opponent, causing him to fall flat to the ground. Ki-han's face glowed with rage mixed with incipient apprehension. Jun calmly looked at his opponent, who still could not get to his feet. Smiling contentedly, the guy noted that Ki-han was a fool for deciding to fight him. This made his opponent even more angry. Ki-han quickly jumped to his feet, striking Jun again. Everyone present watched the battle with bated breath. Concern and even fear were visible on their faces. Jun, completely calmly, was able to block the enemy's furious blow with his palm. Ki-han was surprised to realize that he could not move his hand. He immediately ordered Jun to let him go. The guy smiled contentedly, agreeing to do this. Jun calmly let go of his opponent's hand. Ki-han felt unbearable pain spreading throughout his arm. Unable to restrain himself, the guy fell to his knees, screaming from the feeling of an unbearable burning sensation. Ki-han continued to scream, feeling the pain gripping his arm. Moving closer to the guy, Jun told him that he knew what he wanted to do. He assumed that it was his relatives who ordered Ki-han to do this. Pushing him with his foot, Jun said that the guy would no longer be able to mock him as before, and he promised that for what Ki-han did, he would receive in full. The guy was scared. He didn't understand what Jun was doing to him. Ki-han's cheeks, he begged the guy not to do this. For completing the side quest, getting a thrashing for Lee Ki-han, Jun received a reward of 100,000 martial arts tree points. The teacher displeasedly asked if Jun was laughing now. He hastened to assure that it was not at all. The master did not believe him, noticing that he was still laughing like the last scoundrel. The man was furious when he learned that the guy broke another student's key reservoir. Moreover, a student from a family of awakened ones. He asked Jun if he even knew what exactly he had done. The guy calmly replied that he acted in accordance with the regulations. The man displeasedly asked where this is written in the charter. Jun immediately replied that in Article 1, Part 4, namely, when a student feels mortally threatened by an attacker, he has the right to defend himself. The man was extremely dissatisfied with the guy's answer. He was about to say something else, but the chairman motioned for him to remain silent. Assuming that it was self-defense, the chairman asked the guy what he intended to do next. After all, disciple Lee Ki-han belongs to the family of awakened ones, and they are unlikely to leave it just like that. This was Han Mi-sun, the chairman of the Murim Military School and the heir of the Ji family, in which the martial art of the Zhuge clan is transmitted. Jun assumed that he felt the chairman's aura because he was of a rank. If it weren't for the skill of the divine source, he might have fainted. The guy said that this was not their problem at all, because he was also from the awakened family, and moreover, the direct heir of its head. Therefore, his family willed these matters among themselves. There was complete silence in the hall. The chairman was surprised. Of the disciples, none other than the sword dragon could withstand his aura, but they told him that he was a failed simpleton of the awakened family. As a result, the hearings ended in Jun's favor. The students were talking among themselves about Jun. They didn't even know that he was so strong and were very surprised by everything that happened. Since the hearing was over, Kim Tae-hyung was asked if he was going to leave, but the man replied that he still had work. Having said goodbye to the man and not bothering him, everyone else left the room. Tae-hyung hit the table in anger, unable to contain his emotions. They should have drowned Lee Jun at this hearing. In exchange for guardianship of the disciples of the awakened families, he received money, gifts, and even training in techniques, and this loser from the awakened family ruined everything. If it is left like this, then the man will not only lose the support of his families, but they will take up arms against him. He decided that he had to deal with Lee Jun by any means necessary. The guy slowly walked along the corridor, not paying attention to the other students. Everyone around was constantly whispering about Jun, who defeated the tyrant Ki-han, wondering how such a weakling could do it. If the hearing had ended badly, it would have been a problem, but Jun was able to win thanks to the divine source art. The teacher admitted that he also once found himself in such a situation. The leaders of the 9 great sects and 5 great families judged him. Jun was sure that Kim Tae-hyung, the homeroom teacher, called the hearing. He is very closely tied to the heads of the awakened families, and the guy may, with this situation with Lee Ki-han, break these ties. Jun was distracted from his thoughts by looking out the window. The guy overheard the teacher talking, who admitted that he was very sorry that this happened to Ki-han. He added that he really insisted on the hearing, but everything went in vain. The man was very scared when he heard about the termination of funding. He argued that this should not happen. He asked to give him a chance and promised that he would fix everything during the competition between classes. Jun was curious to know that they had decided not to have a general competition, but only between classes. The teacher asked the guy why his family hated him so much. It can't be just because he didn't inherit the abilities. Jun said he was just unlucky. His aunt hated him to death. It bothered her very much that his father loved his mother so much. The master found this very strange because if he was born by the woman he loved, then why shouldn't his father love him? Jun admitted that his father loves his family much more than his mother. He would sell his soul for his family. The teacher awkwardly replied that the guy was very lucky. Jun just chuckled briefly and assured that he was already used to living like this. Both in the past and now, relatives will do their best to drag him down. But now Jun is not the same as he was before. They can't break him now. The day of the competition has arrived. The students were heatedly arguing among themselves. Everyone was discussing Lee Jong, who knocked out Lee Ki-han's key reservoir. They didn't understand how a D-rank guy could change so much. The master playfully asked whose student it was that made so much noise. Jun admitted with a smile that he became like this only thanks to the teacher. The man ordered in a stern voice to stop talking and go to class. He said that in this room he would create a simulation of a battle with a monster. As always, the enemy will be generated randomly, but according to each person's level. The teacher will call everyone according to the magazine. Like portals to other worlds, simulations are also dangerous because the administrator sets the level of the enemy and anything can happen. The teacher was going to turn the difficulty up to maximum when it was Lee Jun's turn, and then say that it was a system error. He considered this his chance to deal with the guy forever. The master noted that not a good intention was written on his face. He did not understand how such a scoundrel could become a teacher. Jun wasn't going to tolerate this in silence. The guy entered the simulation room. To the question, "What kind of enemy should you create?" he calmly answered that anyone. The teacher asked if Jun might want to fight the demon then. Demons were called awakened ones who became criminals. An example of this is the criminal group Death Demon Lotus. Jun was surprised that this was the kind of opponent the man was offering the student. Is he really not hiding anymore? Smiling contentedly, the guy agreed to the demon. The teacher warned him to speak up immediately if he sensed danger. The man pressed a button, starting the simulation. A random selection of terrain generated snow-covered hills. Difficulty for D rank. Finally, the teacher wished the guy good luck. Jun was surprised that the teacher really wanted him dead. Because of the snow, he cannot see far, and it will be difficult for him to navigate. This was terrain of a high level of difficulty. But much more important was the simulated enemy, white-browed ice villain, one of the highest ranks of the death demon Lotus. There are 7 of them in total, and they are called the 7 Evils. He is a monster and a crazy old maniac. The only thing he loves is to kill. And the man offered such an opponent to the student. This Kim Tae-hyung is definitely crazy. Jun received the urgent quest, The Will of the Beginner, which became another reason for him to win this competition. White-browed, meanwhile, was already preparing to strike his first blow. After hesitating for just a second, the man directed a stream of his power at the guy. Jun, focused on his opponent, managed to dodge. However, the guy was surprised to note that the power wave did not fly away, but made a detour, and again headed towards its target. This time, Jun did not have time to dodge, and the blow hit the target, painfully hitting the guy in the shoulder. Jun noted with surprise that this was the martial arts skill of an ice master from the Northern Sea Ice Palace. White-browed, meanwhile, was already rushing towards the guy as fast as he could in order to deliver another blow. Jun couldn't help but notice how fast he was. The guy didn't even have time to dodge. White-browed, meanwhile, made a jump, intending to attack from above. Jun tried to defend himself, putting all his strength into it. The guy felt like every second it was becoming more and more difficult for him to defend himself from enemy attacks. Even though it was all a simulation, the white-browed one was still incredibly strong. Jun gathered all his strength, preparing to fight back. The guy noticed in surprise that despite all the strength of the white-browed man, he was amused by this fight. After all, when else will he have the opportunity to fight such a master? Jun hit the ground with all his might, causing his opponent to lose sight of him for a second. This to get behind the white-browed man. However, the man still managed to react quickly and did not allow Jun to strike himself. The guy understood that he could not miss his chance. The white-browed man rushed away, presumably preparing for another attack. Jun hurried after him. The man stopped abruptly, turning to the guy and intending to strike again. Jun was ready to repel the attack, but then he was surprised to notice that something was going wrong. It took the guy a few seconds to realize that the enemy was disappearing. Jun saw his silhouette becoming more and more transparent, as if evaporating. Noticing that he was back in the simulation room, the guy was a little shocked. Did Kim Tae-hyung turn off the system? Jun was very dissatisfied with this. He had just gotten separated. Tae-hyung didn't understand how this was possible. The guy just broke his chi systems. In the simulation, the difficulty was lower than it would be with the same opponent in real life. But even this was at least C rank. Even the most experienced student. What a student! Even Tae-hyung would find it difficult to cope with such an opponent. The teacher slammed his fist on the no longer working system in rage. Jun received a notification that the urgent quest, The Will of the Beginner, had been completed, for which he received a reward of 250,000 martial arts tree points, as well as a bonus of another 250,000 points. The guy was glad that even though he was unable to complete the fight, the system still rewarded him. In addition, he also received the rank credit he wanted, all thanks to the source ring. Jun quickly went from being a useless F rank to a D rank, and even beat up Lee Ki-hong. This will definitely provoke his relatives. The guy suddenly braked when he heard someone calling out to him. He had no idea what was there, and who needed something from him again. The students were delighted with how well the guy showed himself in the competition, and considered him really strong. Jun was a little shocked. Didn't they see how it ended? The students said that they saw everything and compared it to the fact that the film was interrupted at the most interesting point. Jun smiled cheerfully. Nothing like this had ever happened to him in his previous life. The guy noticed quite nicely that it was nice. One of the enthusiastic students asked Jun what he had just said. The guy just smiled and assured that it was nothing. The next morning, great changes were visible. The students bowed in unison, greeting the sunbae. Jun already laid out the sandwich out of surprise and complete surprise. One of the students introduced himself that his name was Hosu and that he was new. Bowing again, the remaining disciples asked the leader to lead them. Jun didn't understand why they were greeting him as if he were the leader of a criminal gang. Do they really want the guy to be their crime boss? Jun felt his head starting to hurt from everything that had happened. In a stern voice, the guy ordered not to greet him like that again. The disciples did not understand what they had done wrong. Jun asked in bewilderment who he was so that they could call him their leader. After all, he is not a mafioso. The disciples immediately asked for forgiveness, bowing even deeper. Jun angrily ordered them to stop it. The guy sat, sighing heavily because of the current situation. These idiots followed him all the way to the classroom and only now left. Suddenly, the door opened and a guy walked inside with a sharp step. The stranger cheerfully invited Lee Jun to fight. The guy replied that he was tired and asked the uninvited guest to leave. Without even bothering to listen to Jun, the stranger had already raised his weapon, attacking. Jun, without being confused, easily broke his blade with his bare hands. The guy froze in surprise, looking at the stump that remained from his sword. Having attacked him one last time, Jun warned him to learn to listen to people. The teacher cheerfully announced that the guy turned out to be popular. Jun did not consider such attention to himself to be popular. One of the students stated that he heard that Lee Jun had become strong and wanted to fight him. Another called the guy a loser but also challenged him to a fight. He was followed, with no less enthusiasm, by another. Jun felt incredibly tired from all this. He's not some kind of stalking tiger, but they all kept up. The teacher suggested that they just wanted to test the guy's abilities in practice. Jun believed that even if this was the case, everyone still already knew everything. The man immediately sharply ordered silence, asking who was ironing here during the morning meeting. The teacher looked at Jun with displeasure. The man ordered everyone to fill out their schedule on the forms that he would now hand out. From today, they will attend lessons that are included in the schedule. The master watched with interest as the students made their lesson schedules. They had to split their class between foot techniques, weapon techniques, and fighting techniques. Basically, classes were held in these 3 areas. Even if you do only one thing at a time, it's not a fact that you will become a master at it, and it's even more difficult to deal with several. The master asked what Jun would write. The guy thought for a second, looking around the class. Jun turned to the headman, causing the girl to involuntarily twitch in surprise. The guy asked if she should submit the schedule, and the head girl replied that she could too. Looking at the schedule, the girl was dumbfounded because Jun wrote all the existing subjects. The teacher noted that they seemed to have a lot of attendance this year. The girl looked in Jun's direction in surprise. It was Cha Kenjin, also called Red Lotus Fist, from the V-rank awakened family. She is known for her fairness and independence. Even an outcast from the family like Jun, she shows respect, the same as for others from the awakened families. The guy thought she was cool. If Kim Tae-hyung were in her place, he would deliberately ignore Jun. Kenjin said that today, they will study the 10-step Divine Fist technique. This technique is a derivative of the 100-step Divine Fist. She came to them from the Divine Dragon Monastery. These are the successors of the Shaolin Monastery. The girl suggested starting with the basics. They placed shackles weighing 20 kyud each in front of the students and ordered them to put them on each hand. Everyone immediately started complaining that they needed to do this. They heard that the subject was difficult, but they thought it was too much. Jun could not even imagine that wearing 50-kilogram shackles on his legs would be useful to him so soon. Kenjin ordered to stand in the horse pose, as shown by the assistant, and hands forward. The use of ki was prohibited. One of the students asked how long they should stand like that. Smiling contentedly, the girl replied that until the end of the lesson. For the first 40 minutes, everyone confidently followed the instructions. After an hour, some students were already starting to give up. After 2 hours, only Jun remained standing in the pose. The disciples did not understand how much longer he was going to hold out, but his arms and legs don't even tremble. Kyungjin noted that Lee Jun did not defeat the young master Lee Ki-hong with any tricks. Clapping her hands, the girl said that was enough. Jun was surprised because there was still time left until the end of the lesson. The girl felt that there was no need to continue this exercise. Kenjin said that she would teach Lee Jun the 10-step Divine Fist technique. The girl gave the guy a textbook on the 10-step Divine Fist technique. It contained a proven and improved formula for this technique. It would be difficult to learn it. Jun was shocked that he got this technique so quickly. The girl said that this textbook was not from the dungeon, so the martial arts system did not count it. The guy will have to read and study it like an ordinary book. Kenjin added that it takes effort. Jun immediately struck a pose, preparing to perform the technique. Concentrating, the guy began to apply the technique. Kenjin froze in shock. Jun, looking at the system window, noted that he did not succeed. The teacher said that such a technique cannot be learned in 1 minute. Jun assured that he would read a little more and would definitely master it. This was the first time the master had seen such a talent. At first he thought that the guy was just a blockhead, but his talents developed gradually. The master really hoped to soon see what heights he would reach. His talent is not like that of the heavenly demon, which allows a person to absorb knowledge of martial arts like a sponge. And this also does not look like the talent of a heavenly warrior. How is it possible to turn from a blockhead into a genius overnight? The teacher looked at Jun in surprise. The guy said that he did not calculate the amount of energy put into the technique, and therefore an explosion occurred. Therefore, he concluded that in order to correctly perform the 10-step Divine Fist technique, one must be attentive to the amount of QE. Kenjin confirmed that everything was correct, and the guy must learn to control his ki reservoir. The girl was shocked that he delved into the 10-step Divine Fist technique even before listening to the explanation. Jun began to use his technique. Kenjin didn't understand how this was even possible. Jun managed to master the 10-step Divine Fist technique. The guy asked the teachers to ask questions one at a time. One of the teachers stated that Lee Jun's hands were made for a spear. Ideal shaft position, natural movements like the flow of water. This art was shown by the talents of the guy. He began to say that his family's divine spear art, but he was interrupted by another teacher, saying that Lee Jun was ideal for swordsmanship. The guy's fencing skills can only be compared to a dragon sword. He invited Jun to learn iron blood techniques from his family because his friend, Sword Dragon, also learns from them. The third teacher said that Lee Jun would be an outstanding expert on poisons. He is already making promising progress. The 10,000 Poison Shadow family will always be happy to welcome Lee Jun. The teachers began to interrupt each other, trying to lure the guy to their side. The guy didn't even think about joining another family and didn't understand why they were bothering him. The teacher assured that this is also the burden of the strong. Jun was resting, lying on the grass, when he heard someone call out to him. The guy was surprised to see teacher Cha Kenjin. Jun immediately began to make excuses that he had simply moved away from the persecution of teachers. Handing him a bottle of water, the girl asked if Jun liked the subjects he was studying. Thanking for the water, the guy assured that he likes everything and always learns something new. Kenjin asked if Jun was getting tired. It seemed to her that he himself could teach the 10-step divine fist technique. The guy assured that he was not tired. He didn't inherit his abilities from his family, so everything the school can offer him is very precious to him. This is certainly better than being ignorant. For some reason, Kenjin was very surprised by this information. She was about to ask something, but she was interrupted by other teachers who were wondering where Jun had run away to. The guy was very unhappy that they found him. Jun immediately hurried to say goodbye to the teacher and leave. Having walked away a little, the guy stopped, looking at the sky. The weather was beautiful outside, where the guy forbade something. It was the fox who continued to kick, trying to escape. After some time, the system notified that the guy had absorbed a small amount of magical energy using a vampire spell and received +1 to stamina. Even though the blue fox was killed, Jun was glad that the fire foxes continued to spawn. Thanks to this, he could come here to train. But the rewards were too small for the time he spent. The magic stone, after his first arrival here, did not appear again. Jun asked the teacher if it was time for him to absorb the power of the magic stone. The master replied that he had come up with something. Since the guy's growth is much faster than expected, the teacher suggested raising the stakes. Pointing to the thick energy that was in the air near this dungeon, the master asked if Jun was curious about what would happen if he tried to pump it out using a vampire spell. The guy was surprised that this was possible. The amount of energy that dungeons generate is enormous. If Jun could absorb it, it would be just a panacea. The master said that the vampire spell itself is incapable of this, but since the guy has the art of divine origin, it's worth a try. Only now Jun's body was already full of energy absorbed by their creatures. If in this state he tries to absorb a huge amount of energy, then with a 90% probability he will get sick. But maybe Jun would be willing to give it a try. The guy decided that there would be no point in training then if he stopped now. The system reported that Jun had absorbed a large amount of energy. The vampire spell has reached 4 stars. Divine origin art has reached 4 stars. Stamina has been pumped to the upper limit. Athleticism is pumped to the upper limit. The power is pumped to the upper limit. Agility is pumped to the upper limit. Spiritual power has been pumped to its maximum limit. When Jun first used the art of divine origin and fell into oblivion, the teacher almost became worried. And now, the guy himself was trying to overcome the first obstacle. Jun felt himself slowly absorbing the energy around him. Approaching the guy who had fallen into the sand, the teacher asked how he was feeling. Jun replied that it was as if he had returned from the other world. The master decided that since the guy had the strength to make witticisms, he seemed to have managed it. Jun kept closing the notifications, but they never ended. The system reported that the guy absorbed all the energy released from the dungeon and received a reward as the first person to clear the dungeon. Now, Jun became the owner of the Blue Fox's Nest. He had never heard of this before, not on the news, not at school. He was shocked that there was an opportunity to become a dungeon master. Suddenly, Jun heard some strange sound. The guy asked if it was the teacher who made this sound. The master was furious at this suggestion and told Jun to turn around. Turning around, the guy noticed a creature sitting next to him. This cute baby was a blue fox puppy. Now Jun understood what these words about the reward meant. The teacher said that this fox will generate a lot of energy when it grows up. It will have as many as 10 tails. Jun was a little surprised that this baby would turn out like this. The teacher asked what the guy would call the animal. The guy enthusiastically declared that he would give him the name Sinyavka. The master was surprised that this was the best thing that came to his student's mind, but Jun said that it was very nice. Noticing how the guy was playing with his new pet, the teacher didn't say anything else. Jun enthusiastically hugged Sinyavka, inviting her to now become friends. The man enjoyed the silence, slowly wiping the leaves of his flower pot. Suddenly, the chairman was interrupted, saying that they had an incident. The man calmly asked Nam's secretary what happened. The woman reported that the dungeon into which the portal from the basement of the Blue Fox School goes has been cleared. Someone broke the seal of the 5 elements. The seal of the 5 elements is a very effective trap. The G family is proud of their ability to apply it. This seal cannot be broken, no physical force, no technique. The chairman decided that he should take a look. Having gone down into the dungeon, he headed towards the seal. But as soon as he tried to pass, the system notified that the entrance to the blue fox's nest was only for the owner. Other persons were not allowed into the dungeon. The man was shocked that someone had taken over this dungeon. The chairman immediately turned to Secretary Nam. He ordered the woman to find out who cleared this dungeon. Last, thoughtfully staring into the distance, he asked the teacher if this was enough. The master didn't think so, which made the guy howl with displeasure. Jun claimed that here he would often see Sinyavka. The master said that it was clear from the guy that he had never had pets before. The old man said that animals always want to go outside. He began to look for the animal, assuming that it was on the bed. The fox settled down on the soft sheets, expressing her satisfaction. Then, Jun announced that he would leave him. The guy leaned over the fox, smiling cheerfully at the animal. He did not inherit his family's talents. He became an outcast and unwanted by society. It wouldn't be surprising if his heart was filled with darkness. Jun kept trying to kiss the fox, but she stubbornly fought back. Although the guy suddenly had dizzying power in his hands, he tried to be simpler. He did not behave like some who are ready to destroy themselves just to take revenge. Anything is better than being like the master's first student, who turned into a vengeful, bloodthirsty monster. Jun sat on the edge of the bed, affectionately stroking the little animal. He had one more thing to do before bed. After reconfiguring the system, the volume of Jun's ki reservoir increased and the energy flow was unblocked. The guy has definitely become stronger. But Jun didn't know how to see how much stronger it was in numbers. The guy's eyes widened in surprise when he looked at the notification. The teacher smiled and asked what happened. Pointing his finger at the notification, Jun almost started shouting, asking what it was. At the time of the master, the ceiling for the statistics of awakened AA ranks was 300 points. These are the statistics of the 5 emperors, the heads of the 5 great families. Jun was incredibly surprised that his stats were the same as theirs. This means that if he improves, he can be on par with the 5 emperors. The master did not understand what he was looking at there in such surprise and advised him to quickly use his martial arts classes. Since Jun had a lot of points, he had a lot of doubts. Perhaps he should improve his martial arts first. The teacher noted that with the guy's physical form, it is now useless to teach this technique. He will simply break down. He advised to upgrade your teacher and statistics first. Jun decided that this royal step technique was so cool that the master was trying to hold it back for a while. But he was an experienced guy. Jun immediately cried out, pointing his finger somewhere. The master turned his gaze to the window where absolutely nothing was happening. As soon as he was distracted, Jun immediately pressed the pump-up button. The system notified that the guy had mastered the technique of the royal tread, and the technique of the endless spear was now open to him. The guy immediately covered his ears, expecting a scream, and was very surprised when silence continued to surround him. He was shocked that the teacher wasn't going to yell at him. The old man stated that he knew the guy would do this. A self-respecting martial artist always sees right through his stupid students. Jun was very surprised when he saw that it was impossible for him to use this technique. The teacher cheerfully declared that he had wasted so many points for nothing. The guy stretched sleepily, finally waking up from his sleep. He slept very well today. Yesterday, the guy improved his statistics as the teacher told him. Jun felt like he had forgotten something important. Suddenly, an insight came to him. "That's right, Bruce." The guy immediately apologized to the animal, promising to bring him water. After thinking a little, he decided that the fox was still small and probably wanted milk. The guy didn't have any milk and he realized that he would have to go get it. The bruise began to get lost at the guy's feet. Realizing that the animal did not want the guy to leave, he offered to go together. Jun stuffed the fox into his jacket, buttoning it tightly. Suddenly, the guy heard the doorbell. He had no idea who it brought so early. The girl standing behind the door introduced herself as the chairman's secretary. Opening the door, Jun asked what happened. The secretary said that the chairman was calling the guy to his office. Jun was dumbfounded by surprise. The guy decided that this was probably about the dungeon. The teacher agreed with him. Jun apologized, explaining that he could not go with the secretary now, since he had an important matter. The girl assured that it would not take much time. After thinking a little, Jun finally agreed. The secretary beamed with joy. However, in this case, the guy asked her to buy him milk. The chairman calmly sipped his coffee, crossing his legs and looking at the guy sitting in front of him. In appearance, he seemed quite normal to him. The chairman found it hard to believe that he had cleaned out the blue fox's nest single-handedly. The man did not understand how this was possible because he was clearly not higher than D rank. The teacher noted that the man was peering carefully, trying to examine the guy's abilities. Jun assured that this time he would not be fooled. The ring of the source protected the guy's potential from any experienced eyes. Jun was the first to speak up, turning to the chairman and reminding him that he had called him. The chairman said that he called the guy because he thought that he might have difficulties because of Li Ki-hong. The man, as if by chance, asked how the emperor's fist was doing. Jun said that he is an outcast in his family and he has no idea how his father is doing. The chairman apologized, admitting that he had made a mistake. The man said that he made sure that the guy was fine and could walk. After Jun left, the secretary asked the chairman what he thought. He answered irritably that he didn't know. He explained that he couldn't see what the guy's abilities were. The man was confused. This had never happened to him before. He knew that, in any case, he should call Ji-yu quickly. Jun cheerfully told Sinyavka that he had come. By that time, the animal had already managed to clean its bowl. Jun was surprised that the fox was so hungry. The system notified that the bruise's affection had increased by 5. The bruise had had enough. After looking at the animal's stats, Jun assumed that they were so small because he had just been born. But never mind, he will gradually grow into a powerful monster. True, the guy had no idea where he would put such a big one. The teacher noted that this is not the only problem. Han Minson began to suspect Jun. He will now have to be careful in his movements and be wary of Beeson. Beeson is an information collector for the G family. The G family controls many dungeons and artifacts with the help of Beeson. Jun was worried that he would be under surveillance 24 hours a day. He decided that he should somehow use his possession of the blue fox's nest. The master was surprised that he was thinking about this. The guy said that he has been doing this for a long time. Jun managed to establish a connection with the blue fox's nest. The system asked to set the destination, adding that there were 2 attempts. A portal appeared near Jun, which pulled him inside. The guy was surprised that he actually joined the blue fox's nest. Now Sinyavka will have a place to live when she grows up. So Jun made himself a hiding place and will be able to avoid Beeson's surveillance. The guy set his destination. Now he could summon a portal for himself. One of the 2 problems was resolved. Now he needed to increase his strength. Several days passed. Jun spent all this time in the dungeon, but he was unable to raise the level of his skills and no new quests appeared. It is clear that he needed to look for a higher level dungeon. The guy just had one thing in mind. Chlorine Dungeon. This is a dungeon in the Green Zone, where the Firestone artifact is located. From his previous life, Jun remembered how this dungeon was opened by a monster tamer. He found a stone and fed it to the monster. From a weak white class monster, he instantly rose to a blue class monster. So Jun was going to do the same with Sinyavka. The guys were whispering enthusiastically about something, looking out the window. The subject of their negotiations was an ice flower. They had no idea what ice flower Han Ji-yu was doing here. Jun also froze, looking at the girl. Ji-yu immediately walked towards Jun with a confident step. She said that the guy knew her and that she had just been promoted to 6th grade. Jun froze in surprise looking at the girl. Han Ji-yu is the eldest daughter of the Ji family, the martial arts heirs of the Zug family. She is an awakened rank and is nicknamed the Ice Flower. She was supposed to be transferred to the elite 1st class, so Jun did not understand what she was doing in our 6th class, where there are solid E and D ranks. The future has changed, but nothing terrible has happened. Ji-yu invited the guy to be friends. But the guy immediately replied that he didn't want to be friends with anyone and told the girl that she didn't have to approach him. In response to this, the girl showed some strange expression on her face. Burying his face in his hands, the guy said that he couldn't be friends with her. The teacher asked what he would do. Dragon Fist, that is, his half-brother, it was he who had his eye on the girl. If he had seen this, he would have gone berserk and tried to kill Jun. He didn't understand why she spoke to him. The master had a guess at this point. He asked what the power of families is at the moment. There is a federation of 15 great families, a martial arts federation, and a demonic death lotus. Within the federation of 15, there are 9 great sects and 5 great families. The teacher asked whether the Ji family inherited the Zug family's martial art. Jun nodded affirmatively. The master did not think that the Ji family was only in power because of their strength. These scoundrels absorb all the talents of our time. Unlike other families, the Zug are weak in martial arts, but they compensate for this by inviting the most talented ones to join them. They even lured away the ice flower. Perhaps they sent her to check on Jun. The guy was afraid that now he wouldn't be able to get rid of this scary girl. The master noted that Jun was weaker than her, so he had better think about how the tone could deceive her. The guy didn't want to communicate with her at all. The teacher hoped that everyone was ready for the exam. Having said that they had a new girl, the man suggested holding a competition lesson. For this, he needed 2 volunteers. The teacher asked who wanted to go first. Ji-yu immediately raised her hand. The teacher asked her to choose an opponent. The girl immediately announced that she would be with Lee Jun. The rivals stood opposite each other, preparing for the duel. The girl asked if Jun was ready for battle. The guy honestly answered that actually, no. He didn't understand why she even chose him. The teacher did not seem to notice the guy's condition. The man ordered to begin. Jun barely had time to blink when Ji-yu disappeared from his sight. The girl crouched down, preparing to strike. Jun was surprised by her speed. Ji-yu swung, but the guy managed to dodge. The girl tried to strike again. This time, Jun blocked. Sparks were flying around the classroom every now and then due to the intense battle. Ji-yu is an awakening. He turned out to be much stronger than Jun expected. The girl gradually wore him down. But Jun could deflect the blows. More and more, her fencing techniques became clear to him. Concentrating, Jun struck back. Ji-yu realized that the guy saw the weak points of her iron blood sword attack and hit there. She didn't understand how he could figure out her attack so quickly. Ji-yu realized that she would lose if she stalled. she will have to use a special attack against him. Jun quietly asked if she was going to use an upward slash with her sword. Ji-yu froze in surprise. She didn't understand how the guy understood this. The girl never moved from her place when Jun struck. Ji-yu's hair flew to the ground, deflected by the guy's precise blow. The girl silently put the sword back into its sheath. Ji-yu admitted defeat. The girl sat silently looking out the window. Jun noted that she seemed to be in prostration all this time after that fight. Is she really in such shock? The teacher is not. I understood why the guy cut off her hair in case she considered it disrespectful. Jun repeated that it was an accident. The Ji family and the Iron Blood Sword family are the only families that will oppose them. One day they will unite and fight with them. Jun decided that he needed to establish a good relationship with them. The guy was heading down the corridor, maneuvering through the crowd of other students. Jun stopped when he heard someone calling out to him. It was Ji-yu. She stood with her hands folded on her chest. The girl asked Jun if he was busy. Finding out that she didn't, she invited the guy to dinner. Jun didn't understand what was wrong with her. He assumed that she wanted to quietly kill him and bury him. The teacher wished him to rest in peace in advance. The girl tore off a piece of pizza, watching how the cheese stretched beautifully. The food was incredibly delicious. Jun noted that she had a good appetite. The guy didn't believe the pizza was so good. Ji-yu asked why he wasn't eating. Jun admitted that he has no idea why they are here. The girl assumed that he was struggling. She was unhappy that she bought him the best pizza, and the guy fought like a donkey. After wiping her mouth with a napkin, Ji-yu decided to get down to business. She was curious to know how Jun managed to defeat her. The guy simply admitted that he saw weak points. The girl had a good sword, but it seemed uncomfortable and unusual for her. He saw several blind spots in Ji-yu's attack and hit them. The girl was surprised that he understood all this in the few seconds that the fight lasted. Jun just shrugged, answering that he didn't know how it happened. The guy noted that he answered Ji-yu's questions and hoped that she would not be offended by her hair. The girl didn't understand why she should be offended. She admitted that she was pleased to update her haircut. Ji-yu added that she actually likes short hair. Clutching the fragment in his hands, the guy promised that he would tear off Lee Jun's legs. The servant asked the young master to calm down because he had already cut himself. Ki-han was furious at this. Does the servant really think he's a pathetic weakling? The servant didn't understand why he behaved like that. Ki-han said that this scoundrel broke his Diantian. The guy wanted to attack the servant, but someone's hand stopped him. Ki-han looked at his father in horror. The man calmly asked the son to calm down. The guy buried his face in his father's chest, unable to hold back his tears. The man hugged him affectionately. He promised that he would heal the Chi Reservoir Kihona. The man admitted that he had already found a way. He said that he would get an artifact called the Firestone for his son. It contains incredible firepower. With its help, they will cure the Dantian Kihona. If he eats it, he will recover in an instant. The guy immediately thanked his father, hugging him tightly. The man promised to make Lee Jun regret hurting his son. The guy calmly walked along the corridor, turning into the toilet. The man immediately reported this. He was ordered to continue watching. He glanced at his watch every now and then, continuing to watch the toilet door. A full 40 minutes have already passed. The man thought it was suspicious and decided to go in and take a look. He was warned that the Beesons should not make their presence known. Jun was just opening the door when the man tried to go inside. The guy fearfully stated that he did not know that someone was standing there and asked if he had hit the man too hard. He assured that everything was fine. As it turned out, the excitement was in vain. The man could only apologize for his impulse. Jun finally cast a mysterious glance at the stranger. He almost got caught. This time it took longer, but he managed everything. Jun thought they were idiots who had no idea that he was actually going through the portal to sell his magic stones. The guy thanked himself again and again for having installed the portals in the right places in advance. This is the minimum you need to do when bison are watching you. The teacher asked if everything was clear in this transaction. Jun didn't understand what he was talking about. The master recalled that the guy signed the documents with his name during the sale. The treaty states that it provides the Federation of Great Families with access to its data. The bank, for example, belongs to the Shock Phalanxes. Jun just laughed cheerfully. Let them rack their brains. The Class B magic stone that he sold, and others like it, can only be found in the dungeons of the Blue Zone. He could already imagine how perplexed they would be about how such a loser could get such an artifact. Jun calmly stated that they should think what they want. The guy was sitting at the table, eating his portion. One of the classmates said hello, asking if the seat next to Jun was occupied. The guy calmly replied that no. But before he could put his portion on the table, Ji-yu sternly announced that she was busy. The guy immediately apologized, making excuses that he didn't know. The girl calmly sat down next to him, starting to eat her food. Jun didn't understand why she scared them away, because there was enough space for everyone. Ji-yu stated that she doesn't like it when there are a lot of people. Jun replied that he actually didn't really want to sit with the girl either, but Ji-yu didn't care. The guy was shocked by how impenetrable it was. Jun decided it would be better not to say anything. Ji-yu asked what else the guy had learned besides the 3 fundamentals technique. The guy asked why she needed it. The girl stated that no one with the 3 foundations technique could have such power. Jun stood up, saying that he had already eaten and therefore was leaving. Ji-yu continued to sit at the table irritably. The teacher said that there would be practice next week. One of the students asked where exactly. The location served as a secret treasury, Beach of Despair, and the Infernal Cave. The students began to actively discuss where they went, saying that everyone was cool. Jun decided that he would choose the Infernal Cave. It came at such a good time for him. Ji-yu looked at Jun without taking her eyes off. Unable to bear it, the guy asked what she wanted to tell him. The girl passed a note that said, "I'm just observing. Don't pay attention." Jun flopped on the bed with relief, hugging the pillow. He was so tired. Jun didn't understand why these strange people were following him. The teacher stated that this is the burden of the strong. The guy had no idea why the strong should even endure this. The master was unhappy that this brat even decided to snap back. Jun suddenly noticed that Sinyavka was not there, but she always meets him. The teacher suggested that perhaps she was sleeping somewhere. Jun immediately began to call the animal. The guy looked under the bed and was shocked by what he saw. The animal lay curled up in a ball. Jun sat on the bench, tightly hugging his backpack. He apologized that he could not open it earlier and said that now he could take a look. Blueberry poked her muzzle out contentedly. Last night, the system showed that the animal had run out of magical energy. Jun was surprised that the animal was sick because it lacked magical energy. The guy promised Sinyavka that he would fix everything. The teacher sternly asked what the guy was going to do. Jun said that he was going to give Bruce some energy. The master said that it was impossible. If the animal's energy was rejected, then it would become much worse. Jun didn't know what to do then. The master said that this was not a weak animal at all. It could wait until the day of practice and the guy should take it with him. The guy will affectionately stroke the animal. Jun was glad that the teacher was able to competently give Bruce magical energy. Now she was not so exhausted. Jun would like to heal the animal before they reach the gate. Hearing a voice from the side, the guy immediately hid the animal back in her backpack. Jun asked Ji-yu what she was doing here. Shouldn't she be taking the bus? The girl said that she would sit down when she saw that the guy also sat down. Having no other choice, Jun headed to the bus. One of the students was very happy to see the guy. Jun didn't recognize him, and the guy remembered that he didn't introduce himself. He called himself Ho-Soo and asked Jun to teach him in practice. This name seemed familiar to Jun, but he wasn't sure about it. The guy asked Ho-Soo not to greet him like that again. He immediately declared that he would correct his guilt. Jun sat down and Ji-yu sat next to him. After making sure that everyone had gathered, the teacher ordered them to buckle up. He was glad that Jun chose the Infernal Cave. It made his task easier. The man was sure that this time the guy would not escape. The guy said hello, introducing himself as Kang Min-jae, third-class prefect. He was a vigilante of the Shock Phalanx family. He will be their guide. The guy ordered to keep up with them, and then the dungeon would be safe. Jun was very surprised by the squad. Families recruit their squad from the awakened ones of at least Class S. They will have a very cool guide. Jun wondered, do they want to kill him or do they already know where to look for the Firestone? Although he did not rule out both options, Sunbae was given the command to start. They weren't even hiding. Jun decided that this family really had it all together. Well, let them think that they caught him in a trap. If he kills them in the dungeon, they will have no one to call for help. Ji-yu froze, feeling something. The girl looked at Jun suspiciously. She didn't understand what it was. She was confused by the bloodthirstiness that came from the guy. The students moved deeper into the dungeon behind their guide. Suddenly, he ordered everyone to stop. Next comes the unexplored part of the dungeon. Although Min-jae understood that the students were interested, he should only take them to explored areas. The students immediately began whispering among themselves, deciding to return later and investigate everything themselves. The teacher noted that students do not visit such a place every day and invited them to look around a little. After all, they are here, and you can let the students be a little curious. Ji-yu immediately stated that this was against the rules. They should only be driven in safe areas. Jun did not understand what was wrong with the girl and suggested that she look around. Everyone around was surprised by his statement. Jun assured that it would be fun. Ji-yu decided that the guy was crazy. Jun cheerfully said that everyone was interested in looking around, and besides, the guards and the teacher were with them. Mi-jae decided to consider it a majority vote. Passing by, one of the vigilantes noticed a small goblin. The guy immediately decided to deal with him so that he would not harm someone. The other goblin immediately rushed after him, but the guy's blade caught up with him too. The warrior suggested moving back. The students stated that they didn't see much. The guy said that everything is the same here, and there is nothing special to look at. There is no boss in this dungeon, so it was relatively safe. The guy froze, feeling something strange. The disciples also noticed that everything around them began to tremble. Min-jae ordered to immediately run to the portal. It wasn't an earthquake, it was a wave. While running away, Ji-yu looked back at those running behind her. The girl called out to Jun, who continued to stand. She moved towards the guy, not understanding why he stood rooted to the spot. The teacher grabbed the girl, saying that it was dangerous. Hoseo rushed past in an attempt to save his son Benim. Jun continued to stand, calmly looking at the approaching danger. The guy shouted at him to leave because it was dangerous there. The teacher watched Jun with a satisfied smile. Hoso froze in horror. A wall grew in front of them, cutting them off from Jun. The guy immediately started banging against her, trying to shout out to Spenim and find out if he was alive. Jun replied that he was alive and said to stop calling him. Turning to the teacher, Hoseo reported that the Sun Benim was trapped. Min Jae suggested going outside before some other traps were triggered. He assured that nothing bad would happen to the guy because they did not find any monsters nearby. They will return after they have developed a rescue plan. Hoso reluctantly agreed. Ji-yu abruptly broke free from the teacher's grip. The girl ordered Lee Jun to wait for them and not go anywhere. Smiling contentedly, the guy called Sinyavka to come out. This little rascal was already filled with energy since they were in the dungeon. Taking the animal in his arms, Jun suggested moving forward. The trolls immediately reacted to the shadow that appeared. They were going to knock out the newcomer and roast him on a spit. One of the trolls suddenly jumped out in front of the guy, about to grab him. Jun's passive skill, Fear, was automatically activated. The monsters immediately hid in a corner. And when Jun passed by, they began to run away. Sinyavka's devotion increased by 20. The animal absorbed low-level evil energy. Jun was glad that his pet learned his first skill. Sinyavka is capable of absorbing and processing energy of even the lowest quality. Bruce's vampire martial art. Teach noted that the animal resembles its owner. The master added that he would prefer that he not grow up like his master. The guy noted that the teacher chose him himself. Jun stopped when he noticed the artifact. The guy took the firestone in his hands. The system asked if he wanted to use it. Jun clicked yes. The teacher sensed a presence ahead. The guy noted that you couldn't hide anything from him. Jun stopped in front of the wall. He puts a stone on her. The system notified that the guy had found a cache in the infernal cave and received 250,000 martial arts tree points for this. The wall crumbled and Jun entered the hiding place. Ji-yu didn't understand why she couldn't go with the warrior. She wanted to save Lee Jun. Min Jae stated that the girl is the precious heir of the Shock Phalanx family. If something happens to her, there will be a clan war. Ji-yu wanted to object, but she was ordered to shut up. The teacher said that the chairman would kill them if anything bad happened to the girl. Let the vigilantes figure it out themselves. Ji-yu felt like something was wrong. She felt there was something wrong. It didn't seem like they were getting along with Jun. The guy is imprisoned, and they do nothing. Did they really have something planned against him? System notifications appeared in front of everyone. Ji-yu didn't understand what it was. The system notified that the dungeon had changed its danger level from green to blue. The mice pointed their bows at the target. Jun didn't seem to care at all. The guy waved his hand, repelling the attack. One of the mice tried to hit him with a spear, but a powerful shockwave did not allow her to do this. Jun easily defeated the oncoming opponents. The guy exhaled, stopping. The system notified that Jun had killed a mouse spearman and a mouse infantryman. Jun was surprised that the quest was not completed. The guy tried to pass it, but it still doesn't end. This had its advantages too. For example, there was no end to the mice. The mouse captain said that it was only one person. He ordered them to fall on him en masse, tear off his arms and legs and bring them to the master. Jun looked towards the master with a grin. The guy immediately headed towards him, throwing punches along the way. The mice readied themselves when they saw him approaching. The commander ordered to kill him by any means. Jun went on the attack again. The mouse lowered its weapon, losing sight of the guy. Suddenly, Jun appeared behind him. The guy only needed one blow to defeat his opponent. It was truly a spectacular sight. Then another, more massive creature appeared, which was furious. Jun found this surprising. The gentleman was surprised that only one ordinary person invaded his domain. All the students left. Min Jae stated that they had a completely legitimate reason not to interfere due to the fact that the dungeon itself changed its level to blue. Apparently, during exploration of this cave, traces of a firestone were discovered. The guy decided that they would return later to pick up Lee Jun's corpse. The gentleman did not understand how the guy dared to invade his territory because he was just a man. Jun assumed that it was an inferno, a blue-class monster. He found it quite funny, the body of a man with a rat's head. The monster said that he would tear out the guy's tongue and eat him. Jun immediately took a defensive position. Suddenly, Sinyavka flew past the guy forward. Jun warned the animal that it was dangerous. Meanwhile, Sinyavka used the absorption skill. Inferno considered the fox a ridiculous opponent who could not fight him. But suddenly, when he saw what Sinyavka was doing, he couldn't die like that. The monster fell, defeated, in front of Sinyavka. Jun was already in the mood for a fight, but the animal dealt with him in no time. The guy warned Sinyavka that this was impossible because she scared him. He did tell her to rest and stay in a safe place. He asked the animal not to do this again. The guy didn't even know that she could use absorption on other monsters. For clearing the dungeon, defeating the boss, and completing the mission, Jun received a large reward. The guy jerked when he heard something. Jun leaned down towards the monster. There, he discovered the Emperor's transcendental spiritual cultivation technique. This is the basis of the imperial technique of spiritual development. Her highest master at this time is the head of the Divine Fist family, the Fist Emperor and Jun's father. The word transcendental means that this technique is the highest form of technique for spiritual development. Jun didn't understand how a skill book of such an exorbitant level could come across to him in this cave. If the guy were alone, he would burn this book, just so that the Fist Emperor would never be able to get it and level up. The teacher asked if Jun wanted to learn this skill right now. Perhaps it was because it was a martial art from a family that despised it, but Jun was not eager to learn it. He decided that it would be better to blackmail his family with this book. The system asked if Jun wanted to become the owner of this dungeon. The guy transferred this right to Sinyavka. Having finished with this, Jun decided to move on to something important. He asked Sinyavka to bring a magic stone. The animal immediately grabbed it and brought it to its owner. But without giving it back, Sinyavka applied absorption to the stone. Jun only managed to shout, "No!" So the firestone was no longer here. And Lee Jun, as the guy understood, had found a secret passage. The man confirmed, marking this place on the map. It looks like Jun really has taken possession of the Firestone. Min-jae didn't understand how this loser could find a secret passage. He couldn't have found it just by chance. Meanwhile, the dungeon changed its security level to the green zone. The guys didn't understand what it was. Jun asked why they were crowded here. Everyone was surprised by his appearance. Jun was wondering if the vigilantes had come here for some reason. Min-jae stated that the guy couldn't survive without defeating the boss. He decided that Jun had been devoured by the Firestone. The guy answered evasively, "Let's say." Min-jae didn't understand how such a non-entity like Jun could do this. Everything went to hell. Lee Min-wook-nim insistently demanded that this stone be brought. But even if Jun actually ate it, it would take some time for the stone's power to be absorbed. If he can't bring the stone, then he will bring Lee Jun's blood to the Fist Emperor. The shaking began again. Nobody understood what was happening. Jun remained standing, surrounded by light. This couldn't happen. The guy couldn't become that strong by eating the Firestone. Min-jae ordered everyone to leave. Jun laughed cheerfully. Did they really think that he just revealed his real power to them? The system notified that the owner of the infernal cave had closed the exit from the dungeon. Min-jae didn't understand what was happening because the boss was killed. Jun sternly stated that now the guys will not be able to leave this dungeon. Hoso couldn't stand still. Ji-yu asked him to stand still as it was annoying. The girl did not regret that she accepted the task of following Lee Jun. She had to appreciate his abilities, so she followed him everywhere, but she couldn't find out anything. He defeated the tyrant Lee Ki-hong and the white-browed ice demon during the competition. And then Han Ji-yu herself. Only one thing is certain, he carefully hides his real abilities. The girl believed that the guy would definitely survive, and she would be convinced that she was right. A strong glow appeared from the wall. The gates have finally opened. A guy came out from there, dripping blood, falling to his knees in front of those gathered. Ji-yu grabbed him, trying to find out what happened. She was surprised to notice that this person was Lee Jun. Someone asked how much time had passed. He was told that it was about 3 o'clock. The man replied that it took a long time, but perhaps the delay was because the squad of their Divine Fist family came by. Typically, fluctuations in dungeons last no more than 15 minutes, although vigilantes can usually be controlled in less time. The man rarely ordered the cameraman to turn on the camera. The gates were cleared. Everyone froze in amazement. The gates closed again. A couple of hours ago, the guy said that Jun was never strong and was going to leave here. Suddenly, Jun struck. It all happened so quickly that no one even really understood what exactly happened. Min-jae immediately gave the order to kill the guy. Jun calmly tapped his foot on the ground. An energy wave passed around, knocking everyone off their feet. Min-jae fearfully noted that he had never met maniacs like this one before. The guy said that the Divine Fist family would not let him off the hook for this crime. Jun reminded that he, in fact, also belongs to this family. The guy didn't understand how he, with his dirty blood, dared to say such a thing. Jun immediately took action to ensure his silence. He asked who could prove that he killed Min-jae if there was no evidence. Jun reached for the guy's sword. He stated that they were the first to start this. Having dealt with everyone, Jun looked over his shoulder in the direction of the sound. He ordered whoever was hiding there to come out. The mouse did not understand why it was called. Jun reported that the place was a bit messy, so he ordered it to be cleaned up, after which the mouse immediately rushed to carry out the owner's order. This mouse knew human language and also had the intelligence of a high school student. The guy decided that she was ideal for manipulation. He immediately called the mouse to him. Jun said that from now on she is in charge here and ordered to monitor everything. He also gave her the bloody sword. He also gave her his weapon for greater safety. Jun just smiled sweetly in response. Everyone crowded around the wounded guy. Ji-yu asked what happened. Ho-seo was also worried about his son Benim. Jun said that all the leaders were in the hidden dungeon. The guy told him not to continue. The teacher noted that if this continues, then he's done for. Jun told him to shut up, noting that he would soon go crazy with shame. He asked this little mouse not to hit too hard. He didn't understand how bad it was because he was wounded, but he could take it off some suspicions. The reporter reported that they were in front of the entrance to the infernal cave. Currently, the only survivors are the student and members of the Divine Force group. The man roughly moved him, ordering him to get out of the way. The reporter, looking after him, continued his report. Despite everything, the receiver of divine power himself, Li Xin himself, arrived. The man stopped in front of Jun, who still could not get up. He asked how the guy was doing. Jun reported that there were several blue-rank bosses there. After Kang Min-jae returned, only he himself was able to survive. The man asked if it mattered that morale was destroyed saving the guy. Jun assured that he didn't care. Li Xin angrily shouted at the guy. Jun closed his eyes as if expecting a blow. Opening them, he noticed that Ji Yu was threatening him with a sword. The girl stated that such behavior towards a patient was unacceptable for a member of the Union of 15 Clans. The man didn't understand why she was defending this loser. The guy stopped him, saying that there were too many eyes here. Li Xin waved him off. He cast one last angry glance at Jun. The guy answered him the same. They stated that from now on, the dungeon will be under their control. The guy asked the chairman to tell him that they could handle it themselves. Ho So meanwhile led Jun, who was standing on his feet. The guy stopped when he heard someone call him. It was Ji Yu. Jun asked what she needed. The girl asked if everything the guy said about what was happening inside was true. Jun thought it was too rude to ask such a thing from a person who was on the verge of death. Ji Yu stated that if he lied, he would regret being alive. The chairman was sitting in his office drinking coffee. There was a knock on the door and he allowed entry. Ji Yu walked inside. The chairman asked how Jun was feeling. The girl answered evasively that it was difficult to say. The man noted that the guy didn't look like himself. Ji Yu couldn't help but notice this. Not long ago, they received a call from their bank. They said that Jun sold a precious magic stone. The girl was shocked by this news. According to eyewitnesses, during this time, Li Jun did not leave the school for a second. Ji Yu thought that he was hiding his abilities. Now she needed to find out how advanced his skills were and where he suddenly got such power. Li Jun was hostile to divine authority. This meant they had a chance. The girl asked her uncle to entrust this to her. She will try to convince Li Jun. The guy began to train the animal. The first command was, sit. Then, give me your paw. Blueberry immediately obeyed. As a reward, Jun gave her some firestone. Taking the happy fox in his arms, the guy asked if it was tasty. The animal became stronger, but its size did not change. This was strange because the level of his abilities should already be above level B. The teacher assumed it was because of its small size. The guy decided that they would know for sure if the animal ate more artifacts, like the firestone. The master reminded that Jun also needs to develop, warning that the longer the tail, the easier it is to step on it. Before he is discovered, the guy needs to gain as much power as possible. Jun promised that he would remember. The teacher also added that the guy was late. He immediately saved what time it was. He told Sinyavka that it was time for him to go to school, but promised that he would return soon. As soon as he walked in, Ho Seo immediately congratulated Sunbenim on his return. He admitted that he was worried. Jun decided that he was incorrigible. The guy told Ho, so that they had met briefly several times and he remembered him only after they officially met. He didn't understand why the guy was so worried about him. Ho Seo reported that he heard that Jun received the scoundrels who bullied other students. He was very impressed, so he began to respect Li Jun. The guy couldn't admit that he did it because he was tired of them. Jun suddenly became afraid that it was someone from his past life. He remembered how he was introduced to his right-hand man, Ho Il-soo. The guy asked the master not to mention his rank, but he was already distracted by Ji Yu. The guy immediately rushed after the girl. Jun was surprised that he just ran away. Ho So was delighted with this. He believed that in order to perform righteous deeds, a person should not bend to his surroundings. Jun noted that Il-soo found a good master. He agreed, adding that his real name was not Il-soo. Jun froze in surprise looking at the guy. Ho So asked what was wrong. Jun decided that this guy was bluffing. Crazy Park Hyuk Jin, who even introduces themselves with a false name. The guy's character was exactly like Pek Han Cho's. This crazy guy will receive the rank of AA in the future. Putting his hand on the guy's shoulder, Jun invited him to be friends. Ho So happily agreed. Jun continued down the corridor without removing his hand from his shoulders. Guy. Jun stopped when he heard his name called. Turning around, the guy was very surprised. Jun fell to the floor from a strong blow, not understanding what was happening. Park Hyuk. Jin smiled cheerfully, apologizing. The guy added that Jun is still the same weakling. Helping him up, Hyuk Jin asked who was with him. Jun introduced his dear Hoob. Ho So immediately introduced himself to the guy, saying that it was a great honor for him. Hyuk Jin thought for a second, examining the guy. The guy asked if Ho So wanted to join the Iron Blood clan. Jun immediately warned him not to bully the guy. Jun stated that he found it first. Hyuk Jin decided that Ho So's decision was more important. With tears in his eyes, the guy asked not to quarrel over him. The teacher noted that the guy had become so mature, but his laughter is still sincere, like a child's. There should be a commission meeting during lunch. He asked if the guy would go. Hyuk-jin said that he also wanted to take a walk. Ji-yu asked if she could join. The guy cheerfully announced that they had a new addition. Jun sighed at the appearance of another stalker. The guy said it was no fun, accusing Ji-yu of stalking him all the time at school. Hyuk-jin assumed that the girl liked him. Ji-yu admitted that this is true, she is interested in Jun. The guy immediately stated that the girl was still such a child with a bright future. He couldn't let her get involved with that idiot. Jun decided that since they were talking about it, then it was better to solve everything at once. He asked Ji-yu what she wanted from him. The girl wiped her mouth with a napkin, preparing to talk. Pointing at Jun, the girl declared that she wanted him. The man slammed his hand on the table with displeasure. What do these little ones even think about the commission? They missed the meeting, even Ji-yu and Jun. The woman asked if she should call the children. The man asked Seol-gi to take care of it. Choi Tae-min added that the rivals are Park Hyuk-jin and Han Ji-yu. He suggested that Seol-gi give in a little, and then she would show herself. The man agreed, warning them to be more careful with Jam-yu, and Lee Jun was trampled to smithereens. The woman calmly assured that they could provide it to her. Ji-yu stated that all she wants is Jun. She promised that he would get what he wanted if her family could accept him. The guy just needs to ask. Jun thought this was a rather strange condition. He did not want to get involved with the authorities, but he needed the help of his allies. It would be better if the forces had good intelligence, but now was not the time yet. Jun just nodded, saying that he understood. Pointing his finger at the girl, the guy declared that he wanted her. Ji-yu was shocked by this statement. Jun immediately laughed, declaring that he was joking. Drawing her sword, Ji-yu declared that she would kill him. Jun began to make excuses that it was just a joke, trying to understand where Hyuk-jin had gone. The guy admitted that he thought he was going to die. Later in class, he had to meet Ji-yu. He hoped that she wouldn't be swinging a sword in class. The teacher assured that no one would do that to her. Hyuk-jin suddenly appeared, startling Jun. He asked displeasedly when he returned. The guy replied that he just did. Hyuk-jin reported that Ji-yu is looking for Jun all over the school. The guy decided that it was time for him to return to class. Hyuk-jin noticed that Jun's last sword fight was not pampering. The girl said that Jun defeated Lee Ki-hong. Hyuk-jin added that, to be honest, the guy doesn't seem that cool. Jun admitted that this is all because he wears good artifacts. Showing the ring, the guy said that this was the thing of a person who took care of him. The ring keeps his energy away from everyone. Hyuk-jin enthusiastically asked where he got such a wonderful thing. Jun replied with a smile that, from the person he respects the most. The teacher admitted that he was very pleased. The master noted that Jun told this guy a lot. He assured that Hyuk-jin could be trusted because he was his friend. Hyuk-jin was about to say something, but he was interrupted by a loud knock on the door. The girl, finally finding the guy, she sternly declared that their escape had come to an end. Seol-gi, following behind, was surprised that they chose the roof. The woman said that as a member of the commission, Ji-yu should set an example. Hyuk-jin greeted him a little nervously, noting that they had not seen Seol-gi for a long time. Plum Blossom. Kim Seol-gi is the successor of the Gomsang group, the heir to the airspace of volcanic waves. Jun did not understand why such a person came to them with Ji-yu. The woman reported that Shin was very angry because they did not show up for the meeting. He said he would toughen up their training this time. Everyone except Hyuk-jin. If a woman even lays a finger on him, his sister will not leave her alone. Therefore, it was aimed only at the two of them. Jun didn't understand why. Hyuk-jin just wished him luck. It was said that the Ice Age clan and the Plum clan did not get along. Ji-yu decided that this was some kind of preliminary heavy martial arts tournament. The girl angrily asked why Jun was standing there. The guy made the excuse that it seemed like the Nunas were targeting Ji-yu. He wanted to help. Seol-gi noted that the guy was so nice and asked him to wait a little, promising that she would finish soon. After revealing that she was the eldest, Seol-gi decided that he would start. The woman then struck. Ji-yu managed to fight him off. Sparks flew all around from the striking blows. Seol-gi chuckled as she struck again at how stupid it was. Ji-yu didn't lag behind. The opponents went on the attack again. The fallen sword clanged loudly as it fell to the floor. Seol-gi also dropped to the floor next to the sword. Jun concluded that the woman had lost. The teacher said that the Sword of Glory is a martial power that deceives the eyes of the enemy. However, as the master noted, this child only relies on strength, which is very strange for the Plum Blossom clan. Ji-yu said that she had nothing to say to the Sunbae and asked him not to bother her. Seol-gi stated that this is not the end yet. She immediately angrily asked her charges what they were staring at. The girl was alone, and there were many of them, so Seol-gi ordered a crowd attack. Ji-yu swung her sword, scattering all the opponents. The girl said that she fought as hard as she could, but she warned that if they attack her again, they should kick themselves. Seol-gi wondered if Ji-yu had always been this cool. She thought it was simply incredible. The woman believed that the Ice Age clan was no stronger than the junior school teachers from the Plum Blossom clan. Are they really that far behind? The guys talked among themselves, discussing how Seul-gi neglected training, tormented children, and during the holidays they did not train at all. What did she even expect? A pathetic parody of military glory. As she stood up, the woman addressed Ji-yu. She offered to bet how long the girl could keep her nose up by throwing a ball at her. Ji-yu immediately repelled the attack, cutting the ball into 2 parts. Needles flew from the cut ball towards the girl. There were too many of them. Ji-yu wouldn't be able to keep up. The girl took a defensive position, preparing to defend herself. Hyuk-jin froze, looking at Ji-yu in fear. The guy said that she was simply gorgeous. The needles were so close, but there was no fear in her eyes. Jun smiled cheerfully as his hand took the brunt of the blow. Li Hua-jong is a secret deadly technique. Jun was sure that there was something wrong with them, more likely that they were affected by magic. The teacher assured that the spiritual harmony technique would neutralize the poison. Jun didn't expect things to go this far. The master asked whether the guy would still have scars. Here he only assured that he would live. In the future, Kamsan will betray everyone. They killed not only awakened individuals but also others, one of the groups that became the vanguard of demons, and he thought it would be a good idea for them to deal with them in advance. Ji-yu then ran up to the guy, wondering if he was okay. He just waved it off, assuring that it was nothing. Seul-gi continued to sit on the ground, looking ahead in fear. The guy pulled her closer to him. He asked whether the woman knew in what cases a secret lethal technique could be used. Seul-gi stammered and answered that when meeting monsters or demons. Jun added that also if you are in a dangerous situation, no matter how powerful the era is, there are principles that everyone must follow. The woman immediately ordered him to shut up. Breaking free from the guy's grip, she called him a bad word. Seul-gi reached for the sword lying on the floor. She didn't like that Ji-yu was also looking down on her. The woman, grabbing the weapon, again rushed to the attack. Everyone immediately jerked, fearing for Jun. Seul-gi froze in fear. Jun didn't even move, causing the sword to simply pierce his shoulder. The woman didn't understand why he didn't dodge. Jun abruptly pulled the weapon from his shoulder, and he threw it at his feet. The guy said she was the first to cross the line. From now on, no matter what he does, it will be considered self-defense. Seul-gi crawled back in fear, not understanding what Jun was going to do. She screamed, asking him not to do this. Jun didn't have time to do anything because he was grabbed by the arm. Ji-yu said in a stern voice that enough was enough. The guy didn't understand why because the girl knows that revenge will follow. Ji-yu realized that she felt the same now as when she entered the infernal cave. A man appeared and ordered them to stop. Shin asked what they were doing here. Jun suggested that he watch it himself to understand everything, noting that he should have come earlier. The guy added that innocent people were hurt. The man worriedly noticed that Jun's cheek was swollen. He recalled that Kim Seul-gi is the second daughter of Kamsan Group. Jun decided that Shin was afraid of getting it from them. He advised the man not to receive anything from Seul-gi. Shin pretended that he had no idea what the guy was talking about. He stated that as the heir of the family, he must be mindful of his relationships with various factions. Jun cheerfully noted that anyone can replace the heir. Hyuk-jin warned that if Jun continued to talk like that, he might not live up to his name. Jun replied with a smile that it seems he will live longer than the sunbai. The guy was pleased to notice that he had a reputation. Having reached rank A and higher, you can get a reputation. The higher the reputation, the easier it is to please clans, guilds, and the government. Organizations also meet with each other to recruit talented people. Jun couldn't wait to start. The teacher noted that he was still far from following the glory of the master. He added that he was a strong player in his time. Having finished, the guy, stretching, said that he would now go play with Sinyavka. The master warned that this should not be done. Jun immediately froze in a silent cry. The teacher noted that it was quite painful. A leaked video from Midterm High School has appeared on the internet. Everyone was surprised that the Ice Flower clan and the Cherry Blossom clan were fighting. No one realized that it was Seul-gi who threw it now. It was the poisoned needle bomb of the Mangacap family. The laptop fell to the floor, breaking into pieces. The guy turned to his father, saying that reports had begun to appear in the news. Public opinion is not very favorable. The man sternly asked who filmed and uploaded this video. The guy admitted that this was Lee Jun from the Divine Fist clan. The man was furious at this news. He didn't understand how they dared to ask for their help after causing this mess. The man reported that their Divine Fist clan had broken off relations with Lee Jun a long time ago. And if it was indeed Lee Jun who uploaded this video, their chairman would be delighted with this request. He's here to ask you to deal with Lee Jun. It was an anonymous profile, so the guy didn't understand how they knew it was him. Now the alliance of 15 clans will probably try to recruit him. The teacher asked if he would join them. Jun stated that joining a faction narrows his options. The teacher allowed him to act on his own, deciding that he would become strong enough to survive on his own. Jun thought that he still needed to take out insurance. He wanted to make the most of this pawn for now. The teacher asked if he had a plan. Before asking for help, Jun wanted to find the heritage flower. The flower of heritage is another name for the flower of God, an unusual artifact that throws away learned techniques. Now Ho-Soo will have to study martial art. Performing the Great Emperor Ascension technique together with the previous one will not only result in a decrease in power, but also may endanger Huosu's life. The heritage flower only grows in the black zone. This is the only place. The guy knew where the flower of heritage had not yet bloomed. Jun asked Sinyavka how she was here. The animal happily jumped onto his hand. The guy also asked the mice if everything was fine with them here. They greeted the owner with his return. They assured that everything was fine here because the owner had handed over the materials. Jun asked what his name was. The mouse replied that Tae-gur. Then the guy cheerfully announced that from now on he was in charge here. Noticing how he twitched, Jun asked him why he was afraid of him. The mouse admitted that she thought that his owner was going to attack her again. Jun assured that last time the mouse tried to take revenge on him, which is why there was no living space left on its face. In general, the guy said that he could handle the rest of the mice and ordered to create a passage between the other gates. The mice immediately began to carry out the owner's instructions. The teacher asked what the guy was going to do with these guys. Jun explained that when the heritage flower is outside the gate, it loses its power, so it needs to be moved. Luckily, mice had the technology to do this. Master asked if they could bring Hoso here and feed the flower to him. Jun stated that this is a rather naive assumption. The guy assured that he was the teacher's student, which means he had a plan. The girl told the boss that they had found the target. The man asked where exactly. The target is reported to be in the Vigor Plain Blue Zone. The man was surprised. It was a closed gate. He didn't understand why the guy entered there. He then decided that it didn't matter because the chairman was asking for it to be completed as soon as possible. Gathering his team, he decided to show this sucker the power of the divine fist and make him stop pushing his luck. The deer heard someone approaching and immediately ran away. Jun noted that it is difficult to move here, but it must be here somewhere. The guy stopped abruptly, noticing something. It was that flower of heritage. Jun immediately opened the gate. The mice were glad to see their owner, saying that they had been waiting for him. The guy said that the transition is needed under this flower. The mouse was surprised by the unusual artifact. Jun said it was a heritage flower. The mouse was very surprised by the flower of God. The guy added that it cannot be pulled out and moved, so you will have to dig it up entirely. Tagore thought that thanks to this flower, the lives of people on Earth would come to an end. Putting his hand on the mouse's shoulder, Jun asked if he had already laid his eyes on the flower. He immediately began to deny it. The guy admitted that if everything goes well, he will share it with Tae-gur. The mouse was surprised that the owner would not go with them. Jun said that he would be there later. He still has things to do. The guy stopped, having found what he was looking for. He quickly counted those gathered, of which there were as many as 7. Jun noted that this was a bit much. One of the guards was quietly snoring at his post. Hearing the movement, he suddenly opened his eyes. Jun ran past and used the King's Command skill. The guy greeted politely without stopping. The security immediately panicked because of the man's appearance. The teacher explained that the King's Command has many properties: fear, dignity, and speculation. Therefore, its power is significant, and even a small step will be heard. Jun angrily remarked that this should have been discussed earlier. He hoped to quietly kill the main one and leave, but his plan failed. The guy made a hole in the wall with a running start. Everyone froze, stunned by his appearance. Jun already realized that he had nowhere to go. One of the pigs noted that they had not had people for a long time and promised that Virag would take care of him. Jun apologized, stating that it was not his turn and used the skill again. The guy rushed forward again, knocking over everyone on the way. The Ord sorcerer, meanwhile, was testing his skills. Jun easily pushed him away with his hand. The guy smiled contentedly, saying that it was -1. Jumping up, he already intended to strike the next blow. The monsters didn't even have time to make a sound. Jun asked Oink not to ignore him and go out. Not even a few seconds had passed before the guy announced that it was still -3. The next opponent only managed to say, "No need." Pig declared that he would not back down and increased all his abilities by 100%. The system notified that if Virag is not defeated within 5 minutes, a storm of madness will be activated. Jun was surprised that they had so much time to use the skill. The guy smiled again, holding a small pig in his hand. Jun said that the illusory shell and the true essence are completely different. Outwardly, it looks so weak, as if it could be broken with one hand. Virag immediately begged the guy not to do this. Jun said contentedly that it was necessary. Boss Virag was destroyed, for which the guy received 500,000 technology tree points. The guy noted that passing these notorious gates brings really good rewards. He would be disappointed that he didn't receive any martial arts instruction. But what he got was pretty good. Vigor's leather vest and Vigor's scarlet axe with a double blade. Taking the axe, Jun noted that this was the best Tier B item. If it were sold at an auction, chaos would begin. The system invited Jun to become the new owner of the dungeon. The guy's inventory was full, so he had to sacrifice something. He left the hellish cave. The teacher asked if it was normal to make decisions so quickly. Jun said that the mice would move, and a divine flower would grow in the blue fox's gate. They should remove everything unnecessary. Jun decided that this should be enough, and he could return. The system notified that unknown persons had invaded the Viraga Plain. It was the Phantom Killer. The teacher asked if June knew them. The guy said that these are trash who will do anything for money. They belong to the Compson group, so they have no problem avoiding the law. June was waiting for this. It was so predictable. The system asked how June was going to fight them. He decided that they should get out of here. Anyone entering the gate will be considered a trespasser and will be expelled. The man didn't understand what this brat was hoping for. He caused them nothing but trouble. Another, looking into the distance, ordered him to cool down. He concluded that June was an arrogant high school student who arrogantly entered the gate alone and died. It's a pretty plausible story. Maybe the guy is already dead and they won't have to kill him. Then they won't have to do anything at all. One of the gang called out to the man. Turning around, he saw that his brothers had been captured. Iron chains enveloped him too. Suddenly, chains began to pull them back into the portal. The man believed that this could not happen. June called them a bunch of idiots and waved goodbye. The guy, pulling his hood tighter, moved along the carpet. The man blocked his way, ordering him to stop. He asked the guy to show his ID since he was a student. June said that revenge will not make you rich, even after 40 years. June assured that nothing would happen to the man for this. He would not be here for long. The man bowed, apologizing for being rude. June took me down the stairs. Coming out to the stage, she was surrounded by many people. The presenter promised that the artifact he would present would make everyone tremble. The initial bid was 50 million. People immediately began vying to raise rates. June approached the man, declaring that he wanted to sell the goods. He asked to put the goods they wanted to sell in front of him. When June laid out everything, the man was shocked that he wanted to sell it all. The guy ordered to do it all as fashionably as quickly as possible and transfer the money to his account. The man thanked him for the good deal and said that June could check the status of sales through the outsmart application. The evaluator carefully examined the artifacts. At first glance, they were above Class C. They even matched the color. The man looked at the large stone, which the system identified as a Class B+ magic stone. After looking through everything else, the man was surprised at how many B+ class artifacts there were. He assumed that the guy had cleared the Viraga Plain. The man asked if they remembered the person who had just sold all this. One of them replied that the guy was wearing a hood and his voice was high, and he was dressed like a high school student. The guy said, "Revenge won't make you rich," and then he walked in and merged with the crowd. The man was surprised by this phrase. His grandfather told this password only to his benefactors. Some high school student said something that even VIPs don't know. The man decided that he needed to tell his grandfather about this. The guy greeted his subscribers and said that he was at the gates of the Viraga Plain. He was surprised that he really couldn't enter. After reading the comments, he immediately began to assure that the dungeon really had an owner. June wondered if these children were tired of disturbing him. For several days now, the guy had only received notifications that people who entered the gate were considered trespassers. Having received the money into the account, June decided that this grandfather was a big shot. He didn't think he would get that much because of the commission. It seems the guy knew how to answer them. June was waiting for their meeting. The teacher said that this was nonsense and asked if he had come up with something better. The guy replied that first you need to humble yourself and let them enter. Blueberry was sleeping peacefully on the grass. The animal curled up near the flower. June stated that with the help of Bruise, they were able to propagate the heritage flower. Bruiser drains the magic from the plains of Virag through the wolf gate and spreads it back to his gate. Thanks to this, Jongho's nest doubled its energy. The guy stroked Sinyavka, praising her for her work. The teacher congratulated June on the fact that the points were accumulating quite quickly. The guy also noted that everything is going smoothly and we need to continue in the same spirit. June looked around in fear, trying to understand what was happening. The system reported that the owner of the Black Gate was surprised and angry. June didn't understand how this happened. The guy began to fall into the void. System alerts started appearing about the Jongho nest warning. June grabbed his head and asked him to stop. The guy was in pain and asked to stop. June heard his name called and suddenly opened his eyes. The guy said he was here. The teacher suggested that he was very happy about the award. June hit himself hard. The master even thought he was going crazy. The guy said that information about the Black Gate had just appeared in the status windows. The teacher knew that someday June would get the hang of it. The guy didn't understand what happened. He had never heard of such a thing. There are no more than 20 Black Gates known in the world. He was too busy to count them all, but the number of gates he had just seen was well over 20. If word got out, there would be a commotion. The guy turned to the teacher. He asked if he was one of those who achieved great success on their own next year. The man asked if this was the same school that the puppy went to. They said that children from noble families go here. The guy replied that they had thought in advance about how to compensate for the damage. The first assassination attempt failed. This was their chance to get even. If they screw up this time, a slap in the face won't do the trick. Their target is Lee Jun of the Divine Fist. They said they would find him. The further he went, the more points June needed. He needed to be careful even if he was only increasing one ability stat. June decided that the girl wanted to burn a hole in him with her gaze. Jiyu asked if he had been to the Viraga Plain. The guy immediately assured that no. The girl said that he was lying. June didn't understand why she was asking if she didn't believe him. Ji-yu offered to join their clan. The guy believed that they had finished this conversation. The girl stated that they would not finish until he joined their clan. She assured that they could do whatever the guy wanted. June assured that there is nothing he wants, he has everything. Ji-yu stated that if he continues to behave like this, then she will have no choice. The girl threatened that she would tell everyone that he was the owner of the gate. June told her to prove it. Even if Ji-yu had no evidence, the alliance of 15 clans and samarins, they are all interested in you. The girl thought that the guy didn't like it when he was the center of attention. June admitted that he had lost and proposed an alliance. Ji-yu was happy about this. June noted that the girl is quite stubborn. The girl was surprised by this statement. The guy clarified that she is like a director. June decided that he needed to train until he got used to it. As a boss, he couldn't make the mistake of entering the fight right away. June continued to train hard. He decided that it was all because he was not ready. June looked up when he heard the sound. A man jumped from the ceiling at him. The guy managed to block the blow. The man was surprised that he stopped his attack. The guy was unhappy that he appeared again. Although the face was covered, one could understand that this was a ghostly killer. The man noted that even though June recognized him, he didn't think he could save himself this time. Midterm Military High School, not a passing yard. The man had no idea who this girl was and asked her to just move away, since she was not his target. June told him to just shut up. The man noted that June could be proud of the fact that he once escaped his attack. He decided that the boy would be easy to kill. As far as he knows, Jun is currently between classes D and C. Although, if you look closely, he looks like an awakened class. But the man was sure that he was no match for him. The killer wanted to strike, but June, sensing this, turned to him. The man immediately jumped back. He didn't understand what it was. His intuition told him that if he had attacked, he would have died. June noted that he had a good reaction. If he had time, he would have already broken the man's wrist. The killer was offended by the boy's impudent behavior. He tried to strike again. Having repelled the attack, June was surprised that life taught him nothing. The man was dumbfounded that the guy blocked that too. He began to strike desperately. June easily reflected them all. Move the kick down. Step your right leg back. Use the endless spear technique. The man realized that his body was obeying him. The spear shattered in the face of the killer. Jun was unhappy that the weapon failed. He won't be able to study until he finds something new. The man did not understand how a child could be stronger than him. Just when the killer was thinking about escaping, the guy gave him plenty of time to think about it. June asked where he was going. A voice from the side told him to stop. The men promised that if June harmed Hyungnim, they would deal with those guys. June suggested that they bring someone stronger, saying that they were too weak. He didn't even feel anything. The guy attacked one of these hooligans with all his might. Jun replied that they could do whatever they wanted to the guys. He didn't care. Everyone was shocked by this statement. The man assured that he would not confess. June didn't expect this. June asked who hired them. The guy sharply stuck the dagger into the wall near the man. Jun admitted that he hates people like him. Unlike the guy, he, born with the strength of a warrior, was a powerful person from the very beginning. But he decided to become a killer. The guy suffered all his life because of his skills. One of the accomplices said that June was insane. They can't give up everything now. The guy noted that it seems his subordinates don't understand anything. The man asked him to stop. He kept thinking that he needed to somehow survive. You can kill this guy later. The man decided that he would definitely make him bow before him. The door opened and the person who entered said that he had come for the intruders. He ordered to immediately drop the weapon and not move. Ji-yu was happy to see her uncle. The criminals were tied up and placed on their knees. All students are safe. The only one who suffered was the phantom killer. Has Lee Jun really dealt with him? The man knew that the guy was strong, but it turned out that he was just a monster. He doubted it was a high school student. The killer laughed. The chairman asked what was funny about this. The killer was glad that the man came on time, because he was almost caught by this crazy bastard. The chairman warned him not to think of getting away with it. The man considered him an arrogant type who knows that people from Komsan groups will cover him. The chairman informed Lee Jun that they would take charge of them. The guy said that his work here is not finished yet. He asked to wait a little. The man begged him to stop. But instead the guy rewarded him with a new attack. The man did not understand what the guy needed. Jun replied that, unfortunately, nothing. The accomplices looked at their leader with concern. The chairman didn't understand what Jun was going to do next. He couldn't survive in this world by force alone. He didn't even let me ask for mercy. The man knew a man with such eyes. His name is Il Chai, a rising star of the Iron Blood clan, the only S-class person in South Korea. It was the director. The chairman asked if the guy had finished. Jun replied yes. The man asked the guy to talk to him alone and ordered him to take care of the ghost and the others. They retired to the gazebo. Jun noted that it was beautiful here. He didn't even know that such a place was located next to the school. The chairman stated that this is a secret territory that only he and his people know about. Jun asked what they wanted to talk to him about. He noted that if it was about intelligence, then he had already talked about it with GU. He would just leave. The man was surprised that the guy understood. Jun assured that it was written all over his face. The chairman then decided to speak directly. He clarified whether the guy would definitely refuse. Shingiji promises a good reward for Lee Jun's student. The guy said that he did not want to join the union of clans. The man noted that even if the guy doesn't join the union, you can just try to improve the relationship. The chairman suggested exchanging artifacts, such as the Shingiji sign. Jun was surprised at what the gate was offering him. The man calmly replied that only if the guy wants it. Transferring gates belonging to a clan is like sharing your own territory with an enemy. Just a reduction in his own strength, and he was ready to offer this. Jun said that he needed to think. The chairman provided him with a number to call. Jun bowed and said goodbye. The chairman added that he should carefully consider everything. The secretary told the guy to follow her. Walking inside, Jun saw a man sitting on a chair. The chairman was glad to see the guy. Jun asked why he was called. The man replied that the transparent killer would soon be released from prison. Everything happened so quickly due to pressure from the Komsan groups. The point of an alliance of 15 clans. Be that as it may, they still wanted to hide their blood relationship. Jun noted that the chairman knows his family, so there is nothing strange about this. The powers belong to the alliance of 15 clans, a group of cold-blooded people. Despite Jun's strength, he is still a child in need of protection. Is it possible to face a group alone and survive? The chairman stated that he would act as a mediator. Jun reported that there had been a lot of unrest for some time due to the attacks on Chong Jun Lake. He asked if the man had time to take care of him. The chairman said that the guy was lucky. Jun decided he was strange. A powerful man like him shouldn't have to worry about someone like him. He thought it wasn't so bad. Jun stated that he had a request. The guy decided it was time to fail. He needed to get everything ready before they left. He asked to tell him about the scandal. The man sat meditating. Hitting the floor with his fist with all his might, he declared that this was all wrong. He didn't understand why he couldn't do it. It had been 5 years since he began searching for the divine skill of the Sumachan Emperor. No matter how hard he tried, he still could not find him. We have to attack the gate where the Emperor fell. The Chongjiang Gate. If he is not there either, then someone has already taken the divine skill. The man could not allow this. He rudely replied that he asked not to disturb him. The man stated that he did not want to interfere, but he had an urgent report. He reported that the attack on Chongjiang Gate had failed. The man replied that this was expected. He ordered a message to Peiwen Island for them to re-attack. This time, they will double their power using fighter fighters and the 5-element dagger. The servant reported that it was said that Lee Jun had defeated the ghost killer. According to reports, he defeated him alone. Despite the fact that there were other hostages, only the ghost was tortured. The man laughed loudly. He was amused that this brat had made them of divine authority. Thanks to this guy, their family's reputation increased. The servant reported that this was not entirely true. Through the internet, they learned that Jun was going to kill the man, so the ghosts were sent by divine power. Rumors about this are spreading. The man asked who was talking about this nonsense. The servant said that it was not a delusion. It is said that powerful man Lee Min-wook practically ordered the murder of Lee Jun and Komsan Group. The man was unhappy that Min-wook got his way. He concluded that tigers cannot give birth to wolves. Lee Jun has changed. He must check everything himself. Jun concluded that they were working well. He now understood why these demons use mice. Then he will do what he must. He was originally going to use it as bait. He wondered if he could make good use of it. Jun was thinking about hiding it somewhere and leaving traces, or leaving it for someone and then taking it. As he thought, the safest option is not to give it to anyone. Jun learned the power of the Emperor. Now he could use the power of the Emperor. 5,000 rubles will be paid as compensation for mastering the skill of military service S-class. Jun sadly stated that it was nothing special. He expected it to be S-class martial arts, which Quan Wan so wanted to master, but it felt as if strong energy was simply circulating inside. All this time he was treated like an insect because of martial arts, just like the guy. Jun stated that he was bored to death with this. Hyuk Jin happily greeted the returning guy. Jun asked what they were doing on the way to school. Jin confirmed that there were so many people. The guy was shocked by how many people were running after him. He stated that he was already tired. The girl handed him something. Jun asked what it was. Ji-yu calmly replied that it was a spear. It was a gift from the school principal. The guy gratefully accepted the bribe. The girl was surprised that he took it faster than she thought. Jun stated that he really likes bribes and he also likes this spear. Ji-yu reported that he had been rummaging through the clan's warehouse all day. Jin immediately asked what kind of bribe it was. Jun stated that he didn't need to know. The guy immediately began to whine that he was interested, but he was interrupted, telling him not to bother him since he came to someone else's class. Hyuk-jin was offended that these two were only picking on him and promised that they would regret it. He will make them regret it. Jun was sitting on the grass with a donated spear lying next to him. The guy was worried that he wanted to meet him. Jun cheerfully stated that this is why celebrities get tired. The teacher honestly answered that he didn't know, but understood that the guy was in a bad mood. Jun thought it was too much. The guy looked suspiciously towards the new arrivals. One of the strangers bowed, greeting Jun from the Divine Fist clan. He said that Kajunim wanted to see Mr. Jun and asked to go with them. One of the guys shouted displeasedly that the great gentleman was calling him. He didn't even have time to blink when a spear flew towards him. Jun said he was rude. With his tongue, he insulted his clan. He asked how they were going to justify when to return. The other guy came forward, apologizing and admitting that Jung Wan-tai had made a mistake. Jun said that this time he would just let them go and told them to leave. They again reminded that their master wanted to see the guy. Much more sternly, Jun again told them to come back. Bowing, the guy assured that they would see each other next time. As he walked, Jun kept thinking that it was too rude. The guy noted that it would be nice if he killed him, because it is not good to endure too long. Jun said that he did not understand what he was talking about. The stranger laughed, deciding that he was pretending not to know anything. He introduced himself as Jo Min-seok from the Samaran clan. Jun immediately recognized one of the villainous clans. He assured that the guy was wasting his time because he did not intend to join the clan. Min-seok stated that he would make him the strongest awakened one. If Jun took his hand, then he wouldn't have to endure it like he did now. He asked to imagine the sight of everyone kneeling, crawling like insects, and asking him for forgiveness, the sight he so badly desired. He concluded that he had said everything. If Jun changed his mind, he could contact him at any time. Jun assured that they would not wait for this. He decided that he didn't have to endure it. The teacher was about to address Lee Jun, but Hek Jin was ahead of him, flying into the guy. Jun angrily asked why so suddenly. Jin said that this was revenge because he promised that they would regret it. He said that he was going to the training room and asked what Jun was doing. He said that he was just in a bad mood. Hyuk-jin immediately began to ask because of whom, promising to punish him. They continued to walk along the path together, chatting happily. The teacher noted what a fragile child he was. So many emotions in this small body. As his mentor, he wanted to guide him on the right path. Sometimes being around him is stronger than formless existence. The guy asked Jun if he had done the research. He didn't understand what kind of research he was talking about. Jin explained that the midterm exam was coming soon, so Jun had to quietly explore the gate. He asked where it would be better. The teacher asked the guy what martial arts he needed. Jun replied that if there were any additional ones to choose from, then Ho-soo would have to give a heavenly sacrifice. The teacher told him to go to the fairies' flower field. Jun was surprised by this order. Jin was also surprised that the guy would go to the fairies' flower field. Hyuk-jin said that this is the gate of the blue zone of Jongno, and the team should have up to 5 people. Jun asked where his friend would go. He decided that he was in an icy canyon, so this was not the time to worry about the guy. Jin stated that he was a genius who came first in the school rankings. Jun abruptly asked his friend to teach him something. It was about an ice canyon. The teacher asked everyone to take their seats because he had an announcement. The upcoming midterm exam will be a showdown for all classes. The exam is conducted in groups of 5 and will be held in white, blue, and green zones. The teacher warned that if they want to get good grades, they need to form groups well to clear the high-rank gates. If they are too selfish, they will end up in danger. The students immediately began to talk about who would go where, offering to go with him. The teacher asked who Jun would be on the team with. Jun stated that, anyway, there were no students who wanted to be on his team because everyone was afraid of him. The master decided that he was bragging about this, but Jun said that there was nothing to brag about. And it doesn't matter whether he is alone or with someone in a team. The girl immediately declared that this would not happen. Ji-yu said that the guy would be on her team. Jun didn't understand who would want to be on her team, but the girl snapped that she wanted it that way. Someone called out to both of them. The girl asked if she could also join their group. It was Park Yoon-bi, the class president. It was amazing that she was the first to join. Even though she is in the E grade, she ranks 5th in terms of scores, she has good knowledge. The rest of the students immediately began vying with each other to express their desire to be in the group with them. Jun didn't understand what happened to them. Ji-yu stated that it was obvious that if they were on a team with him, they would win. Yoon-bi is a taekwondo master, and Zae-ji is a healer. Ji-yu also added that she will bring Sun-ho. She asked the guy if he had any objections. He replied that no, amazed at her charisma. The girls were glad that they were chosen. The guy noted that he would also try. It was a pretty good combination. Among the low ratings, only those with good skills gathered. Jun decided that this time he should be the first. The composition of the team is important. In this exam, the one who takes first place is given one privilege, the right to choose an item that is stored in the school museum. You can get an artifact of at least a rank. It had just what Jun needed. So even though he felt sorry for Hyuk Jin, he was going to take first place this time. The day of midterm exams arrived. The chairman asked if everyone was ready. He noted that everyone was full of energy and was glad that they were not nervous and would appear confident. Today was a dangerous day for them. He could only advise everyone to be careful. They will be able to leave after clearing the gate, but they will have a place to heal. The first place team will receive all privileges. The chairman ordered everyone to go to the selected gate.
The girl was not sure that Jung could be trusted. Fairy Flower Field is the gateway to the blue zone. She decided that the guy was too greedy.
Jun stated that if they want to take first place, they have no choice but to do so. He asked not to worry, to trust and follow him. Ji-yu asked if everything was okay. Yoon-bi firmly stated that they decided to trust and go with them. Ji-yu said that if it was too dangerous there, she would refuse the gate. Jun suggested coming in right away. The system notified that they had entered the Fairy Flower Field, Blue Zone. Jun reported that the region is divided into two, and fairy monsters appear here. If you go east along the road, you can see a fairy flower field, and on the opposite side, in the west, the fairies' refuge is located. The place where they will go will not be a field of flowers, but a refuge. Fairies cannot attack when carrying nectar from a flower field. If you attack at this time, you can easily catch them. Jun stated that he and Ji-yu will do everything themselves. The others only need to help. After making sure that everyone understood everything, the guy suggested moving forward. After checking the system, Jun decided that he could not split the quest this way. Both have the same rating, but the reward is different. Which one should he choose? The girl asked Jun what happened. The guy said that he just needed to think and offered to go. They could take their time and think carefully until they arrived at their destination. Yoon-bi, looking at the fairies, noted that it was very beautiful here. She wanted to take a closer look at them, just a little closer. The girl reached out her hand to them, but Jun stopped her. He warned that if she touched the fairy, she would be attacked. Yoon-bi immediately apologized. She didn't understand why she did it. Looking at the fairies, for some reason she wanted to touch them. Jun explained that fairies have the ability to bewitch. Low-ranking awakened are easy to succumb to. It wasn't the girl's fault. The guy said that from now on there was no time to hesitate. He would check where the fairies were flying. He also said plans have changed. Everyone was very surprised by this. Jun suggested that there is a monster inside that opposes the fairies. He was sure they would catch him. Ji-yu was unhappy that he changed plans. It was too unexpected. They didn't prepare like that. Jun calmly replied that an attack on the gate does not always go as planned. Who knows, maybe they will get extra points for the exam if they take the secret route. Ji-yu asked if the guy was sure of this. He assured that yes. The monster fell in battle because his opponent was far superior to him. The man looked angrily in his direction. He began to attack him furiously again while the others stood aside. The girl noted that Li Xin is on fire today. Another added that he was annoyed by his dongseng. Jun. Xin immediately angrily reminded that he asked not to mention this insect. He promised that this fool would ask for forgiveness. The girl said that obsessed guys are not popular with girls. The reason is that there was nothing interesting about the man at all. Xin ordered Park Jung-young to shut up. The girl only said that she really hated him. If it weren't for the exam, they wouldn't have worked together. The guy told them to stop, adding that they would still have time to fight. Now was not the time for this. They needed to clear the gate. The monsters attacked again. Chong Yan easily dealt with him in a few blows. She agreed that what was important now was clearing the gate, not Li Xin's feelings of inferiority. The guy then told me to stop talking and move on. The girl decided that Xin was just jealous. Li Jun is a cute kid, and when did he grow up like that? She decided that she would need to go and visit him somehow. Walking deeper, the group noticed a sleeping snake. It was Bond Dragon Run. Yoon-bi stated that she only saw it in a textbook. Jun said that they need to catch him, and said that Ji-yu has a job to protect the fairies and the others. The girl was surprised by this, but agreed, asking if the guy could handle it alone. He assured that he could handle it, and ordered us to do as he said. He had a secret place. The snake opened its eyes as Jun came closer. The system notified that he was being watched by the owner of the Garden of Dreams. Jun decided that if he is the owner of the Garden of Dreams, then he is the king of the fairies. Although he is the owner of another gate, he was watching the guy. Is he really saying that he doesn't want his people to suffer? Jun assured that he would do everything in his power. He jumped, avoiding the snake's attack. Without hesitation, Jun himself hastened to strike. The serpent howled, releasing a powerful wave. The fairies froze in fear, covering their ears. Ji-yu hurried to take them away from here. The girl noticed a cobblestone flying at her, but her two companions had already dealt with it. The girl used the healing skill. Jun praised her for this. Now it was his turn. He drove the spear into the monster with all his might. The snake only considered them all pathetic little people. Ji-yu ordered to keep all the fairies. They could not be allowed to be carried away. Jun was already in a hurry to strike the next blow. The snake was able to reflect it, slamming the guy into the wall. Jun noted that this monster cannot be compared to Virag. Good thing he blocked it with his spear. If he didn't stop, he would break something. The guy rushed to attack again. Ji-yu noted this overwhelming power. She didn't know what kind of martial arts he had learned, and whether she would ever grow up to Lee Jun. She then decided that she would not lose to him. She would become better. The serpent declared that he would send them all to hell. Looking at his wound, Jun did not understand how the undead could honor the energy of death. Things didn't go according to plan. Han Ji-yu may not know, but the other fairies will not be able to stop this attack. Jun ordered everyone to head for cover. The backpack opened and something jumped out at the speed of light. The blue one jumped on the guy's head. Let's direct our gaze forward. The animal began to absorb magic. Bruise then redirected that magic into an attack. The monster was shocked by this. The animal smiled contentedly, scratching itself behind the ear. Everyone was immediately moved by this picture. The guy asked Jun if he could spoil his fox and was very glad when he was allowed. The system notified that Sinyavka was absorbing the energy of the owner of the East of Heaven Gate. The owner of the East of Heaven is angry. Jun had never heard of the East of Heaven Gate before. This did not happen in his previous life. Of course, it's normal for the future to change slightly, but it's tiring when something new happens. However, the owner of the Red Gate is unexpectedly supportive. The guy decided that it would be nice to go and have a look once. The girl asked what kind of child this was because he was strong enough to harm Bond Dragon. Jun realized that if he lies for no reason here, it will be even worse, and said that Sinyavka is a monster whom he is raising. The guys didn't immediately believe that this fox was a monster because she was so cute. Jun added that he raised him in secret and said that it was a secret, so they needed to watch their tongues. The fairies bowed before the guy, greeting the owner of the band. The owner of the Garden of Dreams wanted to make sure that Sinyavka was the owner of the band. Jun had no idea who he was. The owner 10 tails, just like Sinyavka. There are 11 rulers in the gate. They are an overwhelming force even among the Black Zone gates. The master of the ban is one of them. Jun decided that he had misheard about the Black Zone. The children learned more secrets than he thought. The master knew from the very beginning that Sinyavka was an unusual creature. He asked him to wipe away his drool and speak normally. Jun told the fairies to stop lying on their stomachs and stand up. They asked if the guy would save them and if it was true that Sinyavka would not kill anyone. They were so glad that they would survive that they immediately began to thank Jun. Ji-yu reminded that their goal is to clear the gate, and they cannot do this without killing the fairies. Jun calmly stated that they had already cleared the gate. The system notified that they had gotten rid of Bond Dragon. As a reward, he received fairy nectar. Jun approved the fairy's request to return home. Realizing that he could not get rid of the blue fox's nest, Jun got rid of Huanghua's secret and became the new owner of the fairy flower field. Now it's time to return. The chairman sat peacefully sipping coffee. If nothing happens, their group will be first. Lee Jun's group of students is also fine. Looks like the team is missing members. The director asked Secretary Kim, who came in, what had happened. The woman reported that Lee Jun and 4 other students had returned. They provided a report on how they cleared the fairy's flower field. The director asked Ji-yu if they really did it. She confirmed it. The director clarified whether they recorded all the exam processes. Ji-yu assured that, of course, yes. The girl provided a medium that contained all the information. The director was surprised to see Bond Dragon. He didn't know that the monster was hiding in the flower garden. The man looked through the materials with his mouth open. Jun asked if anyone was talking about him. The teacher said that after what happened, it would be strange if they did not speak. Jun stated that he had a question about this. He asked how the teacher knew that the heavenly sacrifice would come out of the fairy flower field. The master stated that he did not know what the student was talking about. Jun recalled that the teacher told him to go to the fairy's flower garden if he wanted to receive a heavenly sacrifice. Jun was unhappy that the teacher still did not believe him, because he tried so hard to become a student he could be proud of. The master tried to convince him that this was not so, but Jun did not believe him. Then the old man gave in and confessed. What could he know from which gates which skills fall out? But he didn't know why. The guy didn't believe him because the teacher said that he was an adult who was telling the truth. Jun assured that he had no doubt that the master who was so dear to him was really an adult. He respected the master more than his ancestors and asked which gate was better to go to next time. The master stated that he was not going to tell him this because he was afraid that he would rely only on him and not think for himself. Jun only said that good information should be used. The teacher immediately hit the guy and he began to run away, complaining that the master beats him every day. The secretary said that this video ends the filming at the gate of the flower field. No one could believe it. Student Lee Jun seemed to have been replaced. If the Divine Fist clan finds out about Lee Jun's abilities, they will immediately recognize him as a member of the clan. If this happens, then Lee Jun may try to take revenge on the teacher. Someone called out to Kim Tae-hyun. The man asked what he was thinking about. The teacher immediately assured that he had not thought about anything. Lee Jun was a student who used a third-class martial arts technique. How can you use a technique that no one has ever heard of or seen? The man suggested that perhaps he had an assistant. In any case, it was necessary to act. There was nowhere to go. The man said that it was unreasonable for even the class director to go alone to the boss of the Blue Zone. That's why he thought there was a third person teaching Lee Jun. The director clarified whether it was true according to the teacher that there was a third person who fed Gina the heritage flower and taught him martial arts. If so, then Lee Jun had already said that he had such potential. King Kwan was unaware of Lee Jun's hidden powers that his mentor, if there is one, knew about. The director asked what other teachers thought. Jun asked if everything was okay. The fairies were glad to see him back. They assured that everything was fine with them. The territory of the Forbidden Owner was simply amazing. The air was not at all the same as at the previous gates. Jun was glad that they were doing well and asked if the mice were bothering them. The mouse said that if the fairies need something, they should tell her. Jun noted that the fairies were stronger than him and hoped that he would listen to them. The teacher noted that this is called wisdom. The guy realized that there was nothing to worry about. Jun glanced out the window, watching the men talk. The guy noted that the teachers and the director were so confused and did not understand what was going on. The teacher suggested that something serious had happened. Jun thought he might sneak up and eavesdrop. The director asked what about the children, if these were signs of a change in the Black Gate. The teacher replied that this was not a change, but it also did not seem like a breach, since there were no signs of monsters appearing. He tried to contact the director but received no response. The gates are wrapped in chains, so you won't be able to enter them. The students who entered are the heirs of giant families, such as Ironblood and Divine Fist. If something happens, there will be big problems. This always happens when you take an exam in a strong zone. Children should fight, and adults should just watch. The director felt very sorry for this, but nothing can be done. He ordered the exam to be stopped immediately, and the organization of volunteer detachments to begin. They cannot enter the gate, but must be prepared for emergencies. Jun suggested that something must have happened with Shin's team. Has anything happened recently? In Jun's past life, there were no deaths or injuries. He was glad that Li Shin was in danger, but there was also Jong Yeon Nuna. Park Young-young was Hyuk Jin's sister. She took care of Jun, or rather mocked him. But all this was a different kind of bullying, different from disrespect or contempt. The girl ordered the guys not to bully Lee Jun. She stated that only she could mock him. The guy noted that they are not alike. Still, Hyuk Jin is older, maybe they can have a drink with her. The Lizard Queen also appeared along with other monsters. Shin noted that there was no mention of the Lizard Queen. Jung Yeon ordered him to be quiet if he didn't want to be caught and killed. The girl recalled that Shin himself decided to kill the children of the Lizard Queen. Because of him, the entire team was now in danger. Shin stated that he just wanted to finish the gate quickly. Jong Yeon decided that she knew why he did this. He pretended that he wasn't nervous, but he was afraid that he was falling behind Lee Jun. The guy said he had a plan. He suggested hiding here and trying to catch someone. They needed to deal with the Lizard Queen. He watched them fight, all male lizards protecting the queen. When all the male lizards pay attention, they will go to the middle and get ready again. The guy reminded them that they must pass the exam safely. A man stood guarding the entrance to the gate. Jun approached him, preparing to enter the gate. The teacher asked if this was really necessary. Jun stated that interfering with other groups' exams is prohibited. Just in case, he is going to go out to check if Chan Ye Nuna is safe. The system reported that the gate to the Twin Swamp was closed. Invading someone else's territory will incur the wrath of the gate owner. Jun clicked on login. Anyway, the system warned that Jun was the owner of another gate. The owner of the Twin Swamp gate considers him an enemy since he forcibly opened the gate. Jun went inside anyway. The system stated that the master of the Twin Swamp gate can use the skill of robbery and differentiation. Jun noted that differentiation is the skill of the Lizard King, and robbery is the skill of the Queen, so they came out too. The Lizard King will attack the awakened one who has invaded the gates of the Twin Swamp. On the contrary, the Lizard Queen protects the cubs who have not reached adulthood. The Lizard Queen will not emerge unless her cubs are touched. Jun realized that something was wrong and he needed to hurry. Climbing up a tree, the guy saw Li Shin and Tae Min. He didn't understand why it was just the two of them. The girl was not sure that it would really be better this way. Throw them as bait and run away. Wouldn't it be more correct to attack the Lizard Queen? The guy said it would take several hours to get to the entrance. There is no guarantee that they won't be caught by monsters until then. They are now in a hopeless situation, but it cannot be helped if they want to survive. He suggested pretending they were attacking and running away. Shin agreed that this is not the most important thing right now. His life is important. The girls were surrounded by monsters. The girl suggested that Yong Yeon leave her, but she didn't even want to hear about it. She was a complete fool for believing them. She didn't understand where they were running. The guys only apologized, noting that they also want to survive. The monsters, meanwhile, moved into battle. Chong Yeon threateningly declared that the lizard's son should come to her. Suddenly, a powerful blow struck the monster. The girl froze in surprise. The guy said how good it was that he decided to back them up and asked if Nuna was okay. Jong Young was stunned by Lee Jun's appearance. The guy was dragging the girl's shackled companions. Jong Yeon asked what he was doing here because it was dangerous here. The girl fell down exhausted, but Jun managed to catch her. The guy told me to leave it to him and rest. He knew they were crazy, but when he saw them with his own eyes, he felt uneasy. The guy thought he would do it all unnoticed, but He couldn't leave it like that. Jun invited the monsters to fight his wrath. To easily deal with the king and queen, it would be good to distribute the ability points. Jun has 9 abilities. Even if he fully focuses on one ability, he can increase his noise level by 135. The advantages of lizards are speed, so when dealing with the king and queen, it is better to increase your agility to 300. Jun increased agility, athleticism, and strength. The monsters froze watching the guy. Jun hit with his spear with all his might. Sprays flew around from the powerful attack. The Lizard King entered the battle. The monster deftly knocked the spear out of the enemy's hands. Jun hurried to grab it back. The king froze in surprise, losing sight of his enemy. Jun noticed that this was not easy for the monster. He grinned contentedly as he stood on the blade of his opponent's sword. Jun again made an attack, which was repulsed by iron hoops. The guy was incredibly irritated by this. The Lizard Queen's armor has increased by 100%. The queen used discs, and the king used a volcanic eruption. Jun immediately hurried to escape from the monsters. Every now and then it shortened from the queen's discs. The effects of throwing discs reduced the Lizard Queen's defense by 200%. Jun was glad that he succeeded. Now the queen will not be able to do anything for some time. The guy was just waiting for this moment. The monster howled in pain due to the enemy's powerful blow. The guy grinned contentedly. Jun immediately rushed towards the king, preparing to strike again. The Lizard King's weakness is that he is defenseless when a volcano erupts. Jun stated that his target was the king. The guy attacked the huge monster with all his might. The queen watched the battle in fear.
The system reported that the Twin Swamp Gate had been cleared.
The director froze in fear, not understanding what had happened. The girl was holding Jung-yeon in her arms. The guys continued to be tied up. The man was glad that they were alive, although they were badly injured. The girl stated that Jong-yeon was just tired and fainted. The director did not understand how this happened because the gates were closed. The girl said that someone helped them. Shin, meanwhile, asked to untie them. The girl stated that the two used them as bait and tried to escape. If that person hadn't helped them, she and Jung-yeon would have died because of the monster. She was going to contact their clans and tell them about it. The director asked who helped them, but the girl said that she did not see his face. The man said that it didn't matter now. He was going to send the girls to the hospital. The guy noted that the girl is very quick-witted. Perhaps she noticed that Jun did not want anyone to know about him. The teacher noted that the guy was using a disguise. Tokwa from the Black Poison clan and John Ye from the Iron clan were both from fairly large clans, so Jun was not going to sit idly by. He wondered how the Divine Fist would behave. Jun sat by the girl's hospital bed. Jun noted that he was a very good person if he was kind. He was interrupted by Hyuk Jin, who heard that Jong Young had been shot. Jun reported that Nuna was sleeping peacefully. Jin asked if it was true that something went wrong at the gate. Lee Shin and Tae Min tried to escape, leaving Noon and Ta Hwa as bait. Jun said nothing, continuing to look at the guy. Hyuk Jin was furious about what happened. Jun asked where he was going. The guy replied that he wanted to take revenge on these little ones. Jun asked him not to do this. Hyuk Jin stated that if he doesn't take revenge, no one will. The guy assured that he would do it. Jun noted that perhaps in some ways it was because of him. Jin was surprised that this energy was overwhelming him. He knew that the guy was stronger, but he didn't think that much. Jun couldn't believe that he saved Nuna and Ta Hwa. The guys immediately perked up when they heard a horse moo. Hyuk Jin worriedly asked how the girl was feeling. Jong Yeon asked where she was. The guy replied that it was the school infirmary and that she almost got into trouble. The girl immediately asked if Ta Hwa was okay. Jun assured that she was fine and Jong Yeon breathed a sigh of relief. Suddenly the girl froze, as if she realized something. Jun Young couldn't believe it was Jun's truth. He didn't understand why she was so surprised, as if she was looking at a ghost. The girl did not understand how he entered the gate, because it was locked. Jun assured that the gate was open. Jong Yeon wanted to ask a lot of things, but it was a little difficult for her. The guy suggested that she rest a little more. He just wanted to see her wake up, so he's already leaving. Hyuk Jin invited him to stay. Jun told the girl to spend time with her brother, saying that he was unnecessary here. Jin was surprised that the guy told them to have a good time together. Jong Yeon couldn't understand why she went with him. Ina offered to join them. The guy ordered her not to communicate with the Divine Fist family in the future because there was a split in the families. The girl clarified whether Jun was included in this number. Jin replied that he was an exception. The girl remembered that she wanted to ask something and asked how Jun became stronger. Jong Yeon assumed that he was taking some kind of pills. Hyuk Jin shared that Jun told him that he had a mentor who taught him martial arts. It seems the guy has become stronger because of him. The girl immediately started asking questions about this mentor, what kind of person he was, and whether Jun had eaten the flower of inheritance. Hyuk Jin said that's all he knows. Someone made Lee Jun strong. He renounced his divine abilities. Jong Yeon really wanted to see him. Hyuk Jin decided that the person who made Jun strong was as wonderful as his grandfather. Jun's group decided to celebrate their first place in the midterm exam. Jun stated that Hyuk-jin bought the cafeteria today, so they can eat whatever they want. The guy immediately responded in surprise that Jun said he would buy it himself. He noted that thanks to him, his friend took second place, so the guys are waiting. He asked him to look at these expectant eyes. Hyuk-jin immediately started whining that he couldn't pay for it all. The guy was told to wait a little and go to the roof. Hyuk-jin asked where Jun was going. He said that he was going to the toilet. The guy asked what Ji-yu was eating and asked for one piece. Jun was just looking at something on his phone when the guy walked onto the roof. Jun was glad he came. Hoso didn't understand why the guy called him and not someone else. Jun said that he needed to give the guy something. Hoso is surprised to see that it is mahjong. He didn't understand why Jun was giving it to him. The guy said it was a bribe to keep him under his control during reconnaissance. Hoso didn't understand why. Jun replied that he liked the guy. Hoso stated that it was too much even if he took one. Jun decided that mahjong would not be enough. Handing the book to the guy, he said that he would give him this too. Hoso couldn't believe his eyes at first. It was a heavenly sacrifice. Jun replied that not the royal sword if he was talking about martial arts, which the newcomer from the Hebei clan knew well. He asked if this was enough for the guy for reconnaissance. The man asked Saturn if the divine fist came out today. He apologized to the gentleman and said that his brother had gone to secret training. Since his brother gave him authority, he will hold the meeting. He wanted to talk about the children's performance in this midterm exam. The gentleman said that this story is over and said to simply clean up Lake Cheongjong. The story about the children, naturally, will be buried there. The third round will be very important. Not only can you show strength, but also strengthen your foundation. He said to gather as many people as possible and would aim for that. Also this time they were going to include Taemin, Shin, and other clans. Satan stated that he would like anything as long as he could get polar ice water. The gentleman wanted to succeed this time. The men shook hands. Sadong decided that this time he really needed to get the medicine to heal Kai Hyun. The gentleman smiled cheerfully. Hoso sat meditating diligently. It was the first time Jun had seen martial arts being activated. The teacher said that the amount of air inhaled is important. If you absorb monsters, it acts as an elixir. Jun was glad that Hoseo did as he said. He was very surprised by this. Hoseo is such a simple guy. He believes in Jun too much, that's why he just followed him. Will others look at all this and treat it the same way as they do now? Jun asked how the guy was feeling. So replied that he still can't believe everything that's happening. He felt some kind of emptiness inside him. Jun reported that they could now disassemble the battle space. The guy didn't believe it was true. Jun stated that if he wasn't going to use it, he could give it to him. But Hoso had already applied the teaching. Jun congratulated the guy. He now has S-rank martial arts power, which even the Royal Sword Clan does not have. Hoso went down on one knee in front of the guy. Jun was very surprised by this. Hoso stated that so far no one as awakened as him has managed to do this. He said that his Sunbenim gives him the courage to be strong and gives him faith. To repay his Sunbenim who supports him so much, he promised that he will do his best. Jun asked if he would forget these words later, because he is uncontrollable. Hoso promised that he would not let him down. The teacher noted that the guy liked it so much. Jun confirmed that of course he likes it. It's hard to find someone who is as good as Hosu. Jun was originally going to finish with just the celestial sacrifice, but he needs to find other skills as well. The teacher asked what his plans were. Jun said that he wanted to give up the government Yonghua pay. The master asked if the guy knew how to get it, adding that he was getting old because of it. Jun froze in amazement when he saw the guys he already knew. They all bowed, saying that they were glad to meet the respected Lee Jun. He asked what was happening this time. The guy said that he had a message from Mr. Kaju. Jun stated that he didn't really want to listen. The guy said that Mr. Kaju said that he would take part in the air competition. Jun asked if this man had a heavy ass. Even if he was provoked into coming himself, he would still ignore it. The guy said that he was ordered to take part in the attack on Cheonjung Lake as his first task. Jun replied that he did not want to participate in this. The guy added that a person from the Divine Fist clan cannot disobey the orders of Mr. Kaju. Jun asked if he was from the Divine Fist clan. The guy wanted to say something else, but Jun slammed the door. His father was still talented at annoying people. He said so, but in the end he has to play in his father's competition. The guy began to think about what he could do to free himself from the Divine Fist, from his father. Someone asked what it was. What about the class atmosphere? Ji-yu went inside with the rest of the girls. Jun asked to talk to the girl for a while. He noted that this is very important. They talked about this earlier. Ji-yu replied briefly, "Let's go." The girls were very surprised by this important conversation. Ji-yu didn't understand what the guy meant. Jun asked her to tell the director that he agreed to the deal. The girl noted that this was unexpected and decided that the reason was the Divine Fist. She asked what he wanted. Jun reminded that, as he said, all they need is to have rights to the gate. Then Ji-yu told the guy to give her his name. Jun didn't understand why she needed his name. The girl explained that he needed a reason to enter the Shingi gate on his own. If he enters the gate without a reason, she will receive negativity from visitors. There was one rule of Shinga: full support for the person who became part of it. One of them was the exclusive right to the gate. When a recruited predator hunts outside the gate, he shares goods with Shingi 8 too. Jun suggested building a mutually beneficial relationship. This is an innovative rule, a change from the modern era in which clans reign, but there is a rather big drawback. For the sake of future good relations, the guy said that she would solve one of the problems of her clan. Jun talked about the parasites that stuck to them. Ji-yu was very surprised by this. The guy reported that Li Han's son from the sword, Baek Tai-jun, are in contact with the Divine Fist, and this needed to be resolved as soon as possible. The Divine Fist has been searching for the blood scroll that the guy has for several years. Ji-yu found it hard to believe. Jun quickly glanced at the teacher. He added hesitantly that it could be said that there is. The director was sitting with the girl drinking tea. He asked Ji-yu if this was true. The girl was confident in the affairs of their family. Parasites are in contact with other clans. It is a fact. The man made sure that nothing leaked out, but it didn't. The girl reported that Jun said that he would give them rights to the gate on the condition that they cooperate with the clan. The man was surprised that Jun had a license. He noted that this causes great damage. Shingi always provides exclusive information and takes responsibility for its accuracy. The girl asked her uncle what he would do. The man replied that it was obvious. He asked him to tell Jun that he could ask for help in the future. Jun watched Ho Seo meditate. He could not train the heavenly sacrifice anywhere, and so Jun allowed him to enter. The guy noted that the teacher almost lives here. He replied that he was pleased to see people's efforts. Jun's eyes widened in surprise. Is it really because of the magic that flows through the gate? The guy didn't know that he could reach the second level of heavenly sacrifice. The teacher confirmed that pure energy is different from magic. This is no longer the immature magic floating in the blue fox gate. It's called courage. It turns out that this magic filling the air helps to master the heavenly sacrifice. The teacher added that if a guy is going to accomplish a feat, then let him do it here. He assured that he understood and said that he was simply improving his martial arts. The guy has almost reached rank AAA. All that remains is to reach 300 everywhere. The teacher asked where he was going to start. Jun said that first of all, he wants to upgrade all his skills to 300. The guy didn't understand why the master started laughing. He assured that it was nothing and said that he could do as he wanted. The teacher was amused that Jun was actually going to do this. Jun asked him to stop and help him. The teacher pretended not to hear. Then the guy, kneeling down, asked the teacher to give his student instructions. The master said that you don't need to sacrifice all the points, just look at one skill. Jun clicked on power, and the divine source reached the 5th level. Middle Zhong is now open. Jun was dumbfounded by this information. The internal energy in Zhong began to penetrate into the middle Zhong. Middle Zhong moved to the side. The guy felt as if hundreds of needles were being pierced into his heart. There was a warning that the energy of the god of war was going through the roof. Jun felt like he was getting sick. If this continues, he will die. He decided he couldn't die like this. With extreme patience, one's spiritual strength continually increases. Middle Zhong is wide open. The upper limit of resistance increases. All power indicators increased by 50. The guy gained tactical clairvoyance. Jun realized that he had just almost died. The teacher asked how he felt at the 5th level of the divine source. The guy reported that he was dizzy. The master added that now only the upper Zhong remained. Jun was afraid that it would be the same as now. The teacher reported that he could not compare with this. He assured that the guy had nothing to worry about because he still had a long way to go. Jun was shocked to see 100% combat potential and 100% resistance of all attributes. If the skill received from the middle Zhong is like this, then what will it be from the top one? Every time Jun saw something like this, he wondered how strong his teacher was. He declared that he had become a martial god, a man who had reached the limit of his capabilities. Ho Su meditated in the morning as well. Jun suggested resting a bit and returning. The second-place student in the midterm exam was asked to come on stage. The director congratulated the group on second place. Then he asked the first place of the intermediate exam to come out here. The director congratulated them on their honorable first place and asked what prize Li Jun would choose. The guy said that he would go to the museum. The secretary asked the first, second, and third places to follow her. The guys didn't know what to choose. They were very worried. Hyuk Jin admitted that he hadn't even thought about what to choose and asked Jun if he had already decided. The guy said he was still thinking. He told Jin that there would be a rusty iron sword on the second floor. He needed to check if there was a lightning bolt on the hilt of the sword and select it. Jun revealed that it was a gate item made by a man named Myung Ho. It is much better than the sword the guy had now. Jin asked how he knew about this. The guy replied that his mentor told him this. Hyuk Jin immediately thanked his friend for the advice. The director led the children to the museum. He allowed them to take one item that they liked. Yoon B couldn't help but notice how cool everything was here. The guys immediately began to examine the exhibits, not knowing what to choose. Jun abruptly ordered everyone to stop. He ordered to put whatever they liked. Yoonbi gets ice gloves, Hoodie, yin-yang needles. Sunho received the red invisibility cloak. The man found it incredible. Ice gloves of an unshakable giant woman, needles and a red artifact that go well with Haiji and Seonho. Jun apparently has a keen eye if he knows what these artifacts are and recommends them. Jun glanced at Ji-yu. For her, he chose a soft sword whip. The girl stated that all awakened people avoid these weapons. If you don't handle it, you could hurt yourself. She had never handled a soft sword before. The guy asked what she puts into the sword during a fight, be it strength or weight. Ji-yu replied that strength comes first in skill. Jun stated that this was wrong. True skill is not just about strength and speed, but also the elasticity of the body. This is what should be the basis of sword technique. A soft sword is a weapon at the limit of flexibility. If these two elements are in harmony, the guy asked if the girl was interested in what would happen then. Hyuk-jin bragged to Jun about how cool it was. As soon as he saw it, he immediately realized that this artifact was created for him. He pointed to the sparkling lightning. The guy noted that Jun's mentor is really amazing. Jin decided that since the guy was his student, he was recommended an even cooler artifact. Jun showed what he had chosen for himself. Hyuk-jin was shocked by this choice. He didn't understand how the guy decided to choose such garbage. He recommended something good for Hyuk-jin. He decided that the guy gave up a good artifact for the sake of his Hyung. Jun chose an iron hammer for himself. He was pleased with his choice and thought it was amazing. Just by looking at the description, you might think that this is a smelting tool. Is this really the key to the destruction of Chong Jun Lake? The gate is a place that no one even knows about. The man shouted Lee Jun's name displeasedly as he hammered at the target. He was sure it was a guy. If it weren't for this puppy, he would have taken first place in the intermediate exam. Plus, he even notices useful things. Because the cave was locked, Shin could not do anything, destroyed the honor of the family, and was suspended from classes. The man told the gentleman that it was time to leave. Shin asked how it was outside. The man reported that the emperor included Lee Jun in the air competition. Also, together with Shin, Jun will take part in the third expedition to Lake Jeonju. Shin didn't understand why his father was competing with this worm. The man suggested that perhaps Lee Jun had attracted the emperor's attention. Perhaps he has become stronger than the master. Shin tried to attack, but the man quickly grabbed his hand. The guy ordered him not to talk nonsense. A person who could not inherit the bloodline cannot be stronger than him. According to the man's assumptions, Lee Jun touched the magic ball. A person who has not even received an inheritance by blood has the only way to become so strong, a magic ball. Shin decided that he would tell his father about this right now. The man stopped him, asking whether it was worth doing this. If the gentleman does the work himself, Kajunin will notice him again. He prepared something for Shin, the desired strength for the master. Shin was very surprised by this. He took the pearl in his hands. Chong Jun Lake, which everyone had been eagerly awaiting, was finally approaching. A lot of people flocked to the gates while reporters were broadcasting in real time. The clans involved in the attack are the Divine Fist family, the Paiwando Kingdom, Shingiji, and the Iron Blood. This is a huge attack of 200 people from the clan, a total of 800 people. A ball flew at Shin, but the guy deftly managed to catch it. Kulak and Piwando were ordered to retreat. Shin was dissatisfied with the people's reaction, but the servant ordered him to ignore it because the emperor asked him to restrain himself. Everyone froze in surprise. Lee Jun appeared in front of the crowd. The guy told the teacher that the school released a video of his fairies in the flower field. The nickname Quichin was given to him when they saw him using a spear. The master noted that then the nickname Shanrin suits him better. Jun said that, unfortunately, there is already a person with that nickname. Jun turned around when he heard someone calling him. Jin ran straight into the guy. Jun ordered him to get off, but he replied that Nuna had to get off first, and then he would. Ji-yu looked at them and briefly concluded that they were idiots. Jun believed that he would die before entering the gate. The guy saw someone spit in front of his face. He looked up and saw that it was Shin. The guy told him to be careful, calling him a non-entity. Jun playfully asked if he was really that worried about him. Shin promised that Chong Jun Lake would become the guy's grave. Jun noted that he sounds like a villain who will lose. Everyone gathered headed to the gate. The system announced that they had entered Lake Jeonju. After Sinyavka became the owner of the Forbidden Place, the owners of the other gates kept a wary eye on the guy. The man decided it was time to introduce himself. It was Choi Tai-woong. He led the third group of students. Everyone already knew the technique for passing Chong Jun Lake, so he decided to move straight to the next one. He said that unthinkable things always happen inside the gate. Not everyone will be able to survive the test. However, this will be due to weakness and pride. Only truly strong people will be able to reach the end. The man hoped that his words would warn many from making a mistake. Jun noted that older people usually do not hold official positions. The master noted that the teacher's skill is reflected in his student. Invincible Gate, Chong Jun Lake. The very first test promises trouble. Hordes of monsters appear out of nowhere. Blue rank monsters are nagas that live in shallow waters. After defeating monsters in all locations, the road to the next test opens. The guy zealously destroyed all the monsters on his way. Shin was surprised how these vile creatures dared to attack him. The guy said that their task was the safety of the gentleman during the hunt. The attack has just begun. Jun asked what the guy would do with such a huge consumption of internal energy if it runs out before all the Naga are exterminated. One of the monsters was about to hit the guy in the back. A soft sword flew past Jun, hitting right on target. The girl asked if Jun was okay. He said he thought he was going to die. Gu asked if he would continue counting crows. The guy noted that she was already accustomed to using a whip sword. Gu said that it is still difficult to control it, but the speed has become faster. Jun was surprised that this was not all the power. He didn't even feel Gu's sword approaching. It was too fast. No wonder they call her a genius. Everyone crowded on the frozen lake, pondering their next steps. The man noted that they say that Chanwande are real masters of divine power. These were not empty words. Although Choi Tai-min and the Black Lion also fight well, they are, of course, still far from Sa-hyun Jun. It is necessary to be able to correctly use internal energy in order to maintain your strength with it, and not to show off in front of others. With luck, they will soon be able to get into Class AA. The man decided that Jun should have become a scout before they did. What a pity. On the other hand, this boy, instead of using the clan's martial arts, only swung his spear. Li Shin and Tae Min said that that boy defeated the lizards. To be honest, the man didn't imagine it well. If this is true, then obviously he used a sneaky method. He hoped that the next tests would put everything in its place. Everyone stopped when the monsters were finished. The manager said that everyone did a good job. The first task has been successfully completed. He suggested not to waste time and start the second one. The second test of Chong Jun Lake is overcoming an obstacle course with traps, a huge river, the water of which instantly kills. You need to cross it along a small path of stones. If you try to turn along the intended path, new obstacles will arise that carry even greater danger. During the test, let your guard down and fall into the water. No matter how strong the awakened person's body is, it immediately turns into a mountain of bone meal and disappears without a trace. The teacher cheerfully noted that there was a spring here. Jun asked if there really was a spring where the mentor lived. The master stated that this was the habitat of a 10,000-year-old turtle that he had raised. Jun noted that 10,000 is almost an eternity. The master said that an elixir is made from them. That kid survived because he was too cute. The man told everyone to be ready and ordered Hyunwon Dan to draw a fulu. An additional ability has been activated. Moisture resistance increased by 30%. The leader asked who would go first. Nobody expressed a desire. Suddenly, one hand rose up. The girl said that the iron blood would go first. The man was about to say that they had decided, but the girl said that she would be the first. Jong Yeon stated that the people in the clan are not lab rats. Her grandfather always told her to be an example. Even though the man thought she was a brainless girl, he just smiled and wished her luck. The teacher asked if the guy would leave it like that. She is not an empty place for him. Jun promised that he would think of something. Jung-yeon wondered if the stone would sink if you stood on it for a long time. There are approximately 2 seconds before the stone goes underwater. She hurried forward, jumping from stone to stone. The girl heard a voice that told her from that moment on to listen carefully to what he said. The voice said that there should be a stone in front of her that looked like an arrowhead. She needed to stop there. Jong-yeon followed the advice. The girl realized that she had just been almost washed away by the geyser, but the voice ordered her not to panic. Jun said that he would tell you how to pass the test. The rest of the iron-blooded men follow behind. He asked me to tell them too. He promised that he would tell what would happen next. The rest of the clan hurried after the girl. The man couldn't believe his eyes. He didn't understand why iron blood worked so well. The first and second groups were heavily damaged by geysers. The man realized that the iron blood geeks saw the patterns of geysers. The manager realized that the old fart knew about all the secrets, but did not tell. Everyone from the iron blood crossed over safely. The leader said that now it was their turn. He asked if everyone remembered everything carefully and ordered to follow him. Jun laughed that they thought it was so simple. He was sure it wouldn't last long. The guy did not have time to react when an arrow flew at him. Tae Min and the leader looked around worriedly. Another spear flew towards them. The order was given for everyone to speed up. Last pattern. There's just a little bit left. The man froze as he noticed hundreds of spears falling from the sky. The leader tried to catch his breath after getting ashore. Jong Yeon extended her hand to him and asked if he was okay. The man sharply declared that he was fine. He asked how many people survived. The guy replied that there were 50 people, including the wounded. Some people, meanwhile, were filming everything that was happening. The students watched with delight. Someone reported that the same thing happened with Paewon Palace. The man asked who would go next, but everyone stood silently, showing no desire. He asked again, his voice trembling. Jun calmly stated that he was a volunteer. The man was incredibly surprised by this. The guy said that he would go with Shingiji. The man immediately announced that he would go with them. If it weren't for a live broadcast, he would get rid of the guy. But if Jun didn't join them, the authority of the Divine Fist would be shaken. The guy noted that this was not the first time he had said this, and his voice was trembling. Jun glanced at Ji-yu standing behind him. The girl said that then they would take a risk and the guy would go with the clan. When a certain number of people pass this test, the difficulty level increases. The pay ones suffered great losses because they did not notice the changes. 200 people have passed Ironblood, while pay one has only 50. Before the test goes into the third phase, 250 people will have time to pass. The best opportunity for Shingiji. Jun asked if they were keeping a good eye on Baewon and told them to take their time and move slowly. He assured that they would cope no worse than Ironblood. The main thing is to trust him. Ji-yu replied that if she didn't trust him, she wouldn't have come here. Even if the guy was a stranger to her, it is reasonable to believe him. The Ironblood did well thanks to him. But how does Lee Jun know how to attack Chong Jun Lake? Although he gave them useful information, he himself was not yet imbued with trust. The girl wondered if the day would come when Lee Jun would trust her as much as she trusted him. Ji-yu breathed a sigh of relief as she stepped onto the shore. Hyuk-jin immediately asked the girl how she was. She assured me that it was fine. The guy asked if there were any wounded. Ji-yu replied that there were no wounded, and everyone had moved over. The man didn't understand why Shingiji was okay. They were the only ones who suffered big losses. Obviously, they were playing dirty. The guy saw that Shingiji had crossed over. Now it's the Divine Fist's turn. The third phase will begin after another 50 people complete the level. The worst part is that the last 3 phases are difficult to complete, and the difficulty now increases halfway through the journey. Jun decided that he was tired of this and needed to use the gate. The man said that Shingiji crossed safely, and therefore he thinks that they will be lucky too. The teacher shared that he did not have a very good feeling about that boy. He pointed at Li Xin. The master felt a familiar energy, but he couldn't remember which one, so he asked Jun to be careful. The Divine Fist began to move. Spears flew, but they were all deftly destroyed. The guy looked forward with concentration, grabbing his weapon on the fly. He asked the man if he was okay. He just nodded. More than half the journey has already been completed. If this continues, they will manage without losses. Jun grinned slyly. He realized that it was beginning. The geysers began their work. The man ordered not to panic and to continue moving through the geysers. Shin managed to dodge the spear at the last moment. He saw some creature in front of him, not understanding what it was. Weir sharks appeared in front of them. Shin didn't understand why there were red rank monsters here, since they only lived in the highest grade gates. Meanwhile, the monsters had already rushed to attack. The man rushed to the guy's aid, asking if he was okay. Shin was very happy to see his uncle. The geysers were no longer active, so he suggested dealing with the monsters as quickly as possible. Only then did they notice the many fallen in that place. The sharks were hiding in the thin water all this time. Even a man can't handle that much. What then attacked the kingdom of heaven? A mini-boss appeared, the monster Sharkman. Sharkman screamed terribly. His attack speed increased by 30%. Due to the peculiarity of the landscape, Chong Jun Lake is full of water, so Weir sharks have become top-ranking monsters. Jun wondered what they would do in this hopeless situation. The guy looked at the notification in surprise. He did not expect that the passivity of fear would be activated here. The Weir sharks were wary of the owner of the Forbidden Gate. The guy looked at his opponents in fear. The monster declared that all the fish caught by people were now standing in front of them. The guy told them to attack, assuring them that he would destroy their morale. Frightened by Jun, immediately ran away. The guy broke the record. For this, he received a double reward. The guy also received the title of Kvion Killer. This, of course, a good title, but Jun decided that from now on he should tread carefully. The teacher noted that many of the Zhongwandai and Tushindan clans survived. Zhang Yeon stated that it is unknown when the monsters will return, so it is better to move on and set up camp. Ji Yu supported her proposal. The leader noted that before they go any further, he would like to ask them something. He stated that there is a person who is trying to desecrate their attack. It seemed surprising to him that 150 people from the Paewando clan were killed. More than 50 died in the Divine Fist, and the Iron Blood clan and Shingiji arrived without casualties. The guy displeasedly asked if they really suspected them. The man only said that strange events were happening, so he could not help but suspect. Zhang Yan recalled that they came to the aid of the Paewando clan at their request. How dare they even talk about them? Then the leader asked to answer how they knew that there was a certain pattern when crossing Zhongjunsu. The girl paused for a second, looking at Jun. Ji Yu chimed in, noting that she hoped Tae Wong wouldn't suspect them without any evidence. The man said there is no evidence yet. He slammed his foot down on the ground. He added that they could commit a crime. They will soon find out which of them is right. Jun abruptly ordered it to stop. The man reminded that in front of him was a respectable person, and it was not good to stand out from the crowd. The guy apologized, admitting that he should have taken into account that he was of advanced age. He noted that the leader suspects his allies, and this is comparable to betrayal. Jun would not want an arrow to stick into the honorable man. Being together, they will only interfere with each other, so the guy suggested splitting up. One goes in that direction, the other in that direction. The leader agreed, deciding that this was what they would do. The man reminded that Li Jun came from their clan. Tai Wung decided that if the child was amused, maybe he would stop whining. Now all we have to think about is conquering the gates. The camera was destroyed after they crossed the bridge. The live broadcast was interrupted. Jun was glad that the old man would no longer bother them. The guy had a good chance of killing him, but he would have many more opportune moments to kill this man. The leader said that they were mainly exploring the water caves in the west. Jun replied that then their clan would explore the eastern part of the glacial gorge. The man just smiled at the stupid boy. The water cave had already been explored during the first and second attacks, but they also chose unexplored areas that pose a danger. They wished each other good luck as they parted. Jiyu noted that the guy was moving away from his clan and problems could arise. Jun replied that he had already thought about it, but the water cave was much more dangerous. He simply saved himself. Weir sharks and their king actually live in the glacial gorge. When he gets to them, these cowards will run away to Jungjunsu again. But in water caves, everything is different. The owner of the caves is Sharkman's enemy, Nagoshvi. Huge monster spiders emitting freezing cold. Entering their nest is like saying, "Catch me and eat me." Jun said that in the gorge there is a shortcut to the fourth area. To get there, he will need a special artifact, which he already has. Therefore, the rest will only have to cover the guy. Zhang Yan asked how the guy even knew about this. He nervously replied that this was information from lithology. Jun exhaled in relief when the girl believed him. Chong Yan noted that this is the habitat of werewolves, and she needs to gather her thoughts. Jun said it was around here. The girl was surprised that this was the bottom of an icy lake. Jun recalled what he said about the shortest path. The guy hit the hammer with all his might. The guys were immediately afraid that if he made such noise, monsters would come. The guy said that they have problems. The weresharks are already here. Jiyu ordered to prepare for battle, but Jun stated that they would not attack. The guy hit the lake with his hammer again with all his might. This was the day when the myths about the invincibility of Cheonjunghosu were dispelled. It was none other than the blacksmith from Manga. While everyone was busy looking for a further path, he tried to repair the weapon. The floor was cracked due to the hammer blows, cracked where the polar icy waters rest. Chakrua appeared. Jiyu told everyone to get ready, but Jun reiterated that no one would attack. He wanted to break everything here. Everyone began to panic, noticing that everything was collapsing. Hyuk-jin asked Jun what he had done. He answered what was needed and ordered to just follow him. Everyone was scared. They were afraid that they would fail. Zhang Yan ordered everyone to jump into the water. Jiyu immediately jumped with the girl. They were surprised to realize that this was not polar water, but ordinary water. Jun and Hyuk-jin swam next to them. Jun waved his hand, indicating to follow him. They headed further into the water. Jun finally took a breath as he emerged from the water. Everyone began to climb ashore. Zhang Yan asked Jun to explain himself. The guy smiled cheerfully, apologizing for the funny surprise. After some time on the way, the guy announced that they had arrived. This secret path will lead them straight to the boss. The guys immediately started whispering among themselves. They didn't understand how he knew this. Jun warned that it was dangerous and ordered to stay away. He hit the hammer again with all his might. The system notified that a secret path had been discovered. The guy received a reward of 55,000 P. The guys were surprised that these were all crystals. This was the first time they had seen them in such large numbers. Noticing that they were dark blue in color, Jiyu noted that they had a lot of magical power. Each of them was worth 1 billion. Jun invited the girl to take one, but she said that she did not know how to get them. The guy agreed that the rest were also ordinary military agents and not miners gatherers. He was sorry that he had to leave them here. Zhang Yon asked Jun if they had enough people. This is after all the boss of Cheonjunghosu. The guy assured that there were enough of everyone. On the contrary, there were many of them. They could not be attacked now. The spiders began to slowly crawl towards the gathered children. The guy scaredly told them not to come near. He whooped, but was unable to utter a word. Everyone froze, watching the opponents. The man ordered to retreat, but this was impossible. They were surrounded. There were 200 of them, but this number was halved, and the number of Nagashi's side continued to grow. The leader asked Lee Min-wook if he had taken the gem with him. He assured that, of course, and that guy too. Then the leader ordered to get ready. They needed to throw these stones as bait. A gemstone is a consumable item that saves your life in dangerous moments. It was created by foreigners for emergency life-saving purposes and is very expensive. Therefore, ordinary people cannot touch it. Only those who have entered the dangerous gate can hold it. The leader ordered it to be used now. Min-wook was unhappy that only he should use the stone. What about the rest? The man asked if he wanted to die like others. He told him not to hesitate. If he dies, the foundation of his family will be destroyed. The manager assured that you can always make a new one and he will help you no matter what you do in order to survive. The man was still not sure that he really should do this. The guys were shocked when they saw Daewon abandoning them. In parting, the man assured that someday they would take revenge. The guys didn't understand what was happening. The guy noted that Master Shin always liked stealing, just like him. He said that there was something left, adding that if he died, the master would be sad, so he gave the stone. He immediately began to thank Taeju. Everyone was in despair. It's all over. Everyone died. The guy reminded that they act in the interests of those in power. They were going to check if Master Lee Jun was alive. Taejun ordered to take weapons and fight. He will not forgive those who disobey. The combat detachment was given the order for a general gathering. The teacher said it was Huangbo Xie is the power of a deity. No one other than Jun's father could use his table skillfully, and Li Xin also learns this, but cannot control this power as well. But the guy was sure that there was probably another one, Chuang Wangju, the leader of Chuang Xindan and the true heir, Sa Hyun Jun. But something is wrong. Even Sa Hyun Jun doesn't have the strength to stand out to the extent that Nagoshi does. Jun suggested that we try. Even if there is a boss here, it is still safe. The teacher wondered who the head of this place was. Even though he couldn't see anything with the man, he thought this guy was also a cool guy. Jun said that he could not get out of the water now because now was not the time. Suddenly, something flew at the guy. Jun fearfully asked what was wrong. The teacher recalled that he told him that he raised Manangumgu. The guy noted that it was illogical that the guy the master was talking about and the boss were one and the same. Firstly, more than 1,000 years have passed, and his master probably raised him somewhere far away in China when he was still alive. The teacher immediately threateningly assured that his master was a great and glorious Korean. Jun screamed in surprise. Yongyeon didn't understand what happened. The guy immediately rushed to assure her that everything was fine. He was surprised that Koreans were in the world of martial arts. The teacher noted that one cannot draw such conclusions without seeing it in person. If there is gold here, then the guy is doomed to die. Jun suggested going to Sa Hyun Jun first. The guys stood with their backs to each other, defensively. The spiders launched their webs at the target, trying to immobilize him. The guy easily broke his bonds. The spider tried to strike again. The guy hit back with all his might, smashing the enemy into pieces. Jun noted that it is not so easy to tear a naked mouth by force, but the guy was able to do it. The teacher reported that he simply did not have enough time for anything else. Jun didn't understand why others didn't see this. He didn't feel his uncle's prayers or even Che's prayers. Medvuna. Nagosha has a very short mouth. After the hunt, he returns to the nest and does not leave it for some time. Che Medwin, Li Min, Wook, and others survive by sacrificing their subordinates. They knew this, so they tried to win when they were in trouble. Jun suddenly understood everything. The man escaped with the help of the return talisman, using his subordinates as bait. Suddenly, the guy burst out laughing, scaring the teacher. People can do what they can do and what they cannot. Abandon your subordinates and run away? Jun considered this a very disgusting act. The guy felt the web squeeze his neck. He was knocked off his feet, pulled backwards. The monster hovered directly over his face, opening its mouth. The spider managed to make a disgusting sound, dripping saliva onto the floor. Then there was a flash that tore the enemy apart. Someone asked the guy if he was okay, and he briefly exhaled that yes. He killed hundreds of Nagoshi and now he has no strength left. It's good that this was already enough. Thanks to this, their subordinates could easily leave this place. The guy said that his strength was running out. The guys said that they knew and asked to trust them. But the guy refused, saying that he would pierce the road with arrows while they ran away. Someone tried to object, but was stopped by a monster who tried to attack. The guy deftly crushed it with one hand. He said that this was his last order and ordered to leave. The guys answered no, this time they will refuse. He thought they were all fools. Someone asked who would go first. The man volunteered. He invited them to meet in the next life. The man was about to move forward, but someone grabbed him by the scruff of the neck. He angrily asked who he was. The guy just asked if he really wanted to die so badly. The man was surprised to recognize him as Li Jun.